Welcome to the virtual Stab Comedy Theater. It's time for the Suzette Veneti Show. Please welcome to your screen, Suzette Veneti.
Hi everyone, it's Suzette Veneti. It's guess what time, 7:03. When you're good at something, you're good at something, and we're good at being here at 7:03. It's Sunday, August 16th, so if you have anything to do on August 23rd, you have 7 days to do it. And you do have something to do on August 23rd, and that's tune into the Suzette Veneti Show at 7:03. We good? Yeah. Okay, cool. No worries. Oh yeah, if it said David, I am not David. No. Okay, that's enough noises from my mouth. Let's start the show. Really quick. Make sure if you send any coin to anyone, Stab Comedy Theater. Also, below me, if you want to send any coin to, your favorite drag princess, my Chromebook broke, and I don't have a Patreon, and this is the 18th show we've done for free. So, just saying, if anyone wants to help a girl get a Chromebook, I wouldn't mind. Okay, on with the show. In Florida, so I'm doing it from my phone today, by the way. So I'm not like texting people, this is how I'm doing the show. So, sorry. In Florida, Marion County Police Chief, Florida man, banned deputies and visitors from wearing masks inside the police station. COVID won't get the sheriff, but it did get to the deputies. True story. By the way, Sheriff Billy Woods proving that even law enforcement in Florida is Florida man. Joe Biden finally selected a vice presidential nominee in Kamala Harris. Miss Harris is of Indian and African descent, making her the first African American, the first Asian American, and the third female vice president running mate on a major party ticket after Geraldine Ferraro in 1984 and Sarah Palin, who can forget her, in 2008. Kamala Harris will be approximately the 5,480,763rd woman to be assaulted by Trump, however, if you count sexual and verbal assaults. So, long line of that. Just a reminder about Sarah Palin, she can see Russia from her porch. Predictably, Trump is floating a birther rumor about Kamala Harris. It makes sense when every woman in your life is from a country that's not the United States that you would just assume that every woman is from a country that's not the United States. He's stupid. Greenland's ice sheet has melted to a point of no return. No matter what efforts are made to stop global warming, the ice sheet will not stop disintegrating, according to researchers at Ohio State University. The ice sheet dumps more than 280 billion metric tons of melting ice into the ocean each year. That's roughly numbers. 767,123,287 metric tons of ice a day. Fox News, while denying climate change, is promoting something called the Greenland Ice Sheet Fitness and Nutrition Plan. Shed 767,123,287 metric tons a day for your post-COVID reveal, said Fox News. But seriously, the Greenland ice sheet is the single largest contributor to global rising sea levels. To put this in a national perspective, this is a serious danger for low-lying land, and considering that about 40% of the United States population lives in coastal areas, they're vulnerable to sea level rise, like Florida, for instance. So if Sheriff Billy Woods banning people from wearing masks inside the police station doesn't kill the people of Marion County, the Greenland ice sheet might. Meanwhile, in a responsible nation, 3 minors, including a 12-year-old girl, were caught gambling in a casino in Australia. Wouldn't it be nice if we lived in a country where that was the biggest national news at the moment? Minors caught in a casino? Oi, we don't live there. We live here. Unless you're watching from Australia, and then good day. A restaurant in China has apologized for asking customers to weigh themselves and then order accordingly. The restaurant is very sorry once they got caught. I was just wondering, could you imagine that happening in the United States? Like, oh my God, they'd be canceled faster than Ellen is about to be. A Verizon salesman said that the abuse from customers is getting worse. This week alone, he was annoyed that 3 separate septuagenarians came in asking him how to dial their voicemail. But seriously, I was actually at Target this week and saw some very abusive customers to the Target employees. So if you're out and you're shopping and you're going to be mean to the employees, don't. And if you see somebody being mean to the employees, step in and say something. We're all in this together. Except Ben Shapiro. Bruh outed himself when he proudly proclaimed this past week that he'd never seen a wet pussy. Thinking of the dry-ass sex that Ben Shapiro is having makes me imagine Beatrice from the Esurance commercial, where she says, "That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works." Joe Biden, with some ideas that sound like they'll benefit everyone over 75 years old, has a plan for Social Security. One, these are the highlights. Increase payroll taxation on high earners. 2, provide an enhanced special minimum benefit. 3, boost benefits for long-lived beneficiaries. 4, switch the program's inflation tether to consumer price index for the elderly. Trump has a plan for social media. Trump's plan, for Social Security, meanwhile, is, quote, "Who cares? Did you hear Kanye is running? If you don't like me, vote for ye." End quote. Uber and Lyft might suspend operations in California. First we lose the bars, then we get them back, then we lose them again, then we get them back, then we lose them, we finally have them back, and now we're going to lose Uber and Lyft. And all the while, that stupid fucking brew bike is pedaling around where they're not wearing masks because they're drinking beer, and they're not wearing masks so they're breathing their plume mouth germs, and they're moving, so it's just a moving cloud of potential COVID through the streets. I wouldn't mind if they ran into each other and took each other out, the brew bikes. Sorry, I have a beef. It's with the brew bikes. Anyway, nonstop continuous lightning hit the Bay Area this week with more storms in the forecast, including, seriously folks, fire tornadoes, as Mother Earth continues to try to purge humanity from her surface for our stupidity, negligence, and attempts at destroying her. I asked her. That's what she said. Identical twin sisters who married identical twin brothers on TLC's Twinsane Wedding announced synchronized pregnancies. In addition to being cousins, the children of the pregnancies, the product of the pregnancies, the children, in addition to being cousins, they're going to be, let me get this right because I'm not a scientist yet, genetic siblings. And that's the end of humanity. I don't know which part of Revelations talks about identical twin sisters marrying identical twin brothers and having cousin siblings, but I'm pretty sure it's in there somewhere. If anyone knows, hit those chat boards on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook. I'll have to ask Chelsea about Twinsane Wedding. But before we get there, one of my favorite people, one of my favorite follows, he's doing some shows live, I think, at the moment. If he's not, the world's starting to open back up, and so he will be. So make sure you catch him. Like I said, one of my favorite people, Peers and Queers, Mean Dave.
Hello.
Hey, Mean Dave.
Hey, how you doing?
It's like really hot in the studio right now, but
it is?
Yeah.
I haven't heard. I've been hearing all about this heat. I can't tell anything because my room's always hot. So it's now. I think the rest of the world's just. I haven't left this fucking room. Let's not start these rumors too that I'm doing live shows. There's no live shows. It's all I can't be having people thinking that there's anything that I have any access to for them for stage time. Not at all. You hear that? Any comedians watching? No shows.
He doesn't book a room. He's not booking a room.
Or Zoom. Zoom is it. That's it. So you want to have fun doing a Zoom show? We love doing them. Yeah, happy to help you there. But yeah, no, it's been one of those weeks, man, where everybody's thinking the worst is gonna happen every single. I love 2020, man. And I used to love 2020 when it was just a TV show full of bad news. I used to love it every Friday night, 10 o'clock. Barbara Walters, Hugh Downs. Got to see all kinds of bad news from all over the world in excellent news format. Back when the news felt like news, not like today, where the news is pretty much just the National Enquirer on crack and meth and heroin and weed, but weed's not a drug. So it's just I don't know. apparently people now are just realizing what Al Gore was saying 20 years ago. It's going to be very hot in the future. And then everybody's kind of like, it's hot. Yeah, there's going to be more of that. It's going to be a very interesting 20 to 40 years until the end of human existence, as people continuously tweet and post on social media. Man, it's really hot as it gets hotter and hotter and hotter. This would be the most mundane extinction on the planet. But in addition, if there's anything to rejoice, so I don't think there's anything to rejoice about this, but Donald Trump's brother died, which then prompted a lot of people to wish Donald Trump well and hope that he sees him again soon, which is just a backhanded hack version way of saying they hope Donald Trump dies. I don't know. I don't get the impression they were particularly close because, Donald's never mentioned his brother the entire seasons of The Apprentice, let alone into the United States of the apprenticeship presidency that he's had. I don't wish these kinds of things on people. Not only that, I don't think he really particularly feels anything. He's one of those. That's the great thing about being a sociopath. You don't have feelings. And not only that, he's created a presidency, a wrestling persona of a presidency, where people actually respect the fact that he has no feelings and shows no empathy, no sympathy, no compassion, no remorse. So his brother can die, and he could just be like, "Yeah, I wish him well," just like he did for Ghislaine Maxwell or whatever. I hope whatever he's good. I wish him well. And so that's and then. Last night, what's strange about the social medias and all our reliance on technology is I feel like, it's like the device in Men in Black where every time they want you to forget something, they just flash that little device. Because in the last 24 hours, people have responded to thunder and lightning as if they've never, ever been around thunder and lightning in their life. And it was a pretty bad storm, too. Don't get me wrong. It was pretty exciting. A lot of boom, a lot of light, and all that stuff. But we don't get them that often here, but they generally tend to come when, with this kind of heat, when it's this weird, type of humid heat and all that shit. Naturally, and I did post on social media that, anybody in Arizona will tell you that this is kind of standard operating procedure. People were, laughing. Not only that, I hate to say it, you have one of two reactions to thunderstorms. Either you get really scared or you kind of get excited. There's something about a thunderstorm that makes you, it is one of those kind of moments where you're, it's like, whoa, shit, man, things are crazy right now. It's like being on a ride. Hence the Metallica album, Ride the Lightning. And so it's funny to see that, people still continue to have that response. And then if when I saw on social media and myself, when you're posting about it, kind of making light of it, the thing is we have, in our cancel culture and people always calling people out and call out shit and everybody trying to virtue signal their wokeness and all of that. We have this response that basically reminds me of the woman on The Simpsons. I think it's Ned Flanders' wife, who always yells out, "What about the children?" And we get the response of, "Oh no, you should be panicking because we've had, yes, a lot of fires in the North Bay area, throughout the area. It's fire, this is very bad fire weather going into fire season. And pretty much, fires happen all year fucking around these days. That's part of the climate change shit. But yes, if you want to get into the worrywart bandwagon early, yes, you can totally panic when you see the lightning, worried about. My parents live in Ukiah. They actually didn't think retirement alone was exciting enough. They decided to move to an area that is constantly being threatened by fire because they felt Union City was not dangerous enough to just live out the rest of their years. So they moved out there. And so ever since then, they've had like 2 or 3 fires that have threatened their town. And so, yeah, so when I'm aware of it, but it doesn't mean I got to panic about it. We're up 24/7 or around here. Things can burn. Our house almost burned down earlier in April, and that was just from some batteries, some rechargeable batteries that went astray. Doesn't mean that we're not going to get us rechargeable batteries again, and that every night I'm going to be going and check the rechargeable batteries, panicking about the shit. I thought I actually might have done it by leaving the coffee maker on. So boy, was I happy that it wasn't the coffee maker. And thank goodness to the dog, as I mentioned last week, the dog saved us. And
Soldier.
Rest in peace, Soldier. Salute to Soldier. But yeah, so beyond that, just another week of all this nonsense, and now people are worried more about what is the thing. This is the other thing too that gets me. People see this weather and they say the same shit in California every fucking time. This is earthquake weather. There is no such fucking thing as earthquake weather. There's never ever been earthquake weather. I don't know where people basically just get the feeling that with like this ominous tone or whatever. You know what there is? There's earthquake fault lines, and yes, those earthquake fault lines have been a little active recently, and they've indicated yes that the San Andreas might have a little more activity this week, and they could be some earthquakes up at the manageable variety. Could be some hitting up with or it could be a smaller chance of one, a 7.0. That's the gamble you get when you live in fucking California. So pretty much, if you want to talk earthquake weather, guess what earthquake weather is? It's any weather in California, because you live in California. California is an earthquake in the ring of fire. Welcome to it. So, all right, I think I ran it enough. Yeah.
Well, I love everything you always say, but damn, you spoke truth today, because there's no such thing as earthquake weather.
Truth to the power of nature. That's what it was. That was truth to power of nature.
Truth to the power of nature. There's tornado weather. There's fire season, but there's just
fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Fire weather. There was actually a new thing that just came out because everybody was there's a fire tornado. We've actually combined. This is what climate change has done. We have now invented new disasters. So I think that's another thing to pat ourselves on the back about with all of our industrial revolutionary technology. So,
well, we're cutting edge. Thanks
Very
for coming
much so.
on.
Yeah. So I think I'm good. I think I've covered it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll talk to you soon. And as always, I love you, and I hope the audience does. Send this man some coin.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. But I do this for fun. However it goes. I'm not as attractive as your next regular contributor. So I don't hold any ill will towards that. So.
Well, I love you all the same. So thanks, Mean Dave.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you next week.
All right, peers and queers, that was Mean Dave. If you want to send him some coin, his information was below him. And our next contributor, I'm going to get just in the right frame of mind. Excitement. Okay, here we go. You can catch her online. I believe she's doing a mom show on Friday, August 21st. And then she has some other shows coming up. Get excited, peers and queers, for Chelsea Bearce.
Yay! Hi.
How are you?
I'm actually really good. I'm really good. Like, usually I come on the show and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. And I talk shit about every guy that flakes on me and doesn't want to go on a date with me. And then it's just me sad. And then I go drink and then I'm sad. And then I wake up and I'm sad. And I'm like, I'm so tired of being fucking sad. So I'm super over it. I'm super fucking over it. And that's actually what I want. Me and Dave was talking about the storm today, and I'm one of those people that got so excited. I woke up from thunder, and I love listening to the rain. It's one of my favorite things on the planet is listening to rain. So I woke up, and I jumped out of bed. It was 6 in the morning, and I jumped out of bed to stand in my driveway. I stood in my driveway just to be rained on, and I was living my best life. It made me so fucking happy. So I did that. I did get stood up again though this week, so we'll talk about that for a second, and then I'll go back into happy. I know, it's sad.
Why?
Okay, because I try to set these dates up just so that I have something to talk to you about. I mean, fuck these dudes. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna marry me and David. He doesn't know it. Okay, so I created this list last week, okay, where I had been ghosted once. This is in a 3-week period. I had been stood up twice. I had been bored to death on a date once. And then the last one, remember that guy? He flaked on me because he had to make scrambled eggs, and then he canceled on our date. Mm-hmm. And I was like, so this one takes the cake. Okay, we had a date set up, and I texted him maybe the morning of, it was the morning of or the night before. Oh, it was the morning of, and I said, hey, you still want to get together? And I planned this. Okay, for those of you that don't know me on a personal level, I'm busy. I have a lot of things that I do, okay? I'm a mom, 4-year-old. I have my own baking business out of my home. I'm in an active production, which is weird because you can't do theater. I'm busy, okay? I run multiple shows. It's a thing. So anyway, I scheduled time to meet up with this guy for late night drinks, right? And I swear to God, Suzette, pretend to listen. Are you texting someone right now? What are you doing? Okay, you're good? I'll put everything down. Listen to me. Okay, so what happened? I texted, hey, are you still going to get together tonight? Do you still want to get drinks? I swear to fucking God. Well, I'm not sure. I cut my hand. And I said, oh, okay. Are you okay? Did you have to go to the hospital? Did you get stitches? No. Okay. Do you have a Band-Aid on it? And he's like, it wasn't that bad. And that was the whole thing. That was the whole discussion. He cut his hand, not bad enough for a goddamn Band-Aid, and he had to cancel getting drinks with me. I can't make this up. I really, really can't make this up. Like, go ahead. Say something, bitch. Say something. Help me out. Go.
I think I solved it.
Oh.
Okay, so last week on the show we had Miles Weber, who is like your best friend, right?
My best friend, yes.
And we were talking, and we talked about the things you guys do for money, and you guys got to a point where you started eating bugs for money, right?
I still have them.
Right. Then you got on a date with a guy who had a lot of bugs at home, right?
Oh, yeah. That's with his terrarium, because he was collecting termites on his walk before we were supposed to have a date, and then he decided to make eggs instead of meeting me. Yes.
Yes. And then a couple weeks ago, you came on the show here, and you had, remind me what it was called, organic liquid?
Oh my God. Nursing liquid.
Which sounds like it could maybe soothe a cut on a hand. So I think my show is bad luck for your dating, because it seems like anything we talk about, you get a weird guy.
Oh my God. Yo! That's nuts. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Suzette, you never impressed me until this moment. That's absolutely insane. Oh my God. I'm sorry, bitch. I don't care. So anyway, my dating life is a fucking dumpster fire. It's fine. But I'm so fucking happy. And you know why? Let me tell you why I'm fucking happy. And this is new. Okay, I feel like everyone else knows this information, but the fact that it's new to me is very, very exciting, okay? I feel like everyone on the planet knows how important it is for self-care. I feel like every single person on the planet knows that you need to take time for yourself. You need to do things for yourself. You need to make yourself happy. You know, you need to be a little bit selfish to reset your mental shit. You know what I mean? And I have never in my life done that. Never. It's always about how I can make money, how I can push ahead, how I can, just succeed, go, or do things for other people. If you're having a shitty day, you need something, you can't figure this out, then it's me. Then I put it on me and I have to figure it out. Okay? So I realized how badly I needed to start doing self-care for myself. Because in this quarantine, it is so easy to sit on your fucking ass and do absolutely nothing with your life. Do I work out as much as I should? No. Do I drink a little bit too much? Sure. But I still get shit done. Okay? But I did something. I went and got my hair cut for the first time in over 4 years. I haven't had my hair cut since I was pregnant. Okay? And my kid is 4. So I went and got a new haircut with bangs, and I feel so fun with this new hair, okay, that I was like, you know what? I get it. I had time with the hairstylist to talk about this, and she was like cutting, and we were talking about shit, and da-da-da-da-da, and I was like, yo, I get why people go to the salon now. I get it. I never got it before. Suzette, put your goddamn phone down. I'm gonna murder you to death. Why am I even talking to you? Put your phone down. Thank you. Okay. So, Suzette, I see you, bitch. There's 2 cameras on you. Don't think I can't see you. I'm in this Zoom. See? You just looked at me. There's 2 cameras, and I see you. Don't trick me, bitch. I'm in a good mood. Don't fuck it up. Okay. So, what are you grabbing? Your water. That's fine. I'll allow it. So, I went and got my hair cut, you guys, and it feels amazing to have that self-care. And then I started thinking, you know what? Every weekend I don't have my son, and I try to like jam pack every minute of the day with shit to do. Not now. Now I did my nails today. I gave myself a manicure. I gave myself a pedicure. My toes are done. My toes look sick, y'all. Sick. I feel so fucking good today. I'm in the best mood. I feel phenomenal. So I realized in quarantine, dating apps can fucking blow a diseased donkey. Like, I hate dating apps. I fucking hate them. And they should all be free right now anyway, because they're just magazines, because no one's meeting up with anyone. Fuck that. So dating apps suck dick. I hate them with every ounce of my soul. Self-care is incredibly important. Give yourself a manicure, give yourself a pedicure, go get your fucking hair cut, find some bitch in a garage. Everyone's doing it because hairdressers are not essential, apparently, which is horse shit now. I'm a believer. I've switched teams, okay.
A convert.
So that's what we've learned today, that dating apps are garbage, self-care is incredibly important, and I'm gonna marry Mean Dave. That's it. There it is.
Well, I am honored to have a show that fosters this relationship going forward.
I'm just in a really good mood. I'm really
Also,
happy.
I said this at the top of the show. I think you missed it. I don't have a Chromebook today, so the only way I can do the show is with my phone. So I'm not texting. I'm just trying to line up the next guest and make sure everything's on time.
Great. You're doing fine. Everything's great. But
hey, I impressed you today. That's good for like 20 minutes at least.
that's true. You did impress me today. And we've known each other for how many years?
Oh, and like 3.
Good. Anyway, oh, she said she's almost ready. 5 minutes, she said. Did you see that text? Did you get that?
No, because you told me not to look at my phone.
It's not preventing you. Your phone's in your goddamn hand. I see it.
Well, now it is because I'm grabbing it. Yes. Okay, 5 minutes.
You said you were going to ask me about a TLC show. What's it called?
Twin Sane Wedding.
Twinsane Wedding?
Yeah.
So this was twins that married 2 twins? Did they get married at the same time and place?
Yeah, I think that was. I didn't look into the show because I was just reading the news trying to write the monologue, and it said that the 2 identical sisters that married the 2 identical brothers are pregnant at the same time, which, like, so y'all planned that. You had to. And then the children are going to be not just cousins, but genealogically they will be siblings.
Wait a minute. Wait. So the sisters married brothers.
Mm-hmm.
So that they're cousins.
Mm-hmm. The children will be cousins.
Yeah.
But genealogically, because of, like, science, the children will be genealogical siblings.
What?
I don't know. I'm not a scientist yet.
I do not understand how that works. I don't understand how that's possible. I don't understand that. But maybe, twin knowledge that I'm not privy on. And that's fine.
I just thought when I read it, I was like, oh, look, it's something like delightfully trashy on TV. I bet Chelsea knows something about this.
Oh, that is rude but very, very poignant. I mean, I'm not mad at you for that.
I didn't mean it in a rude way. I meant it in a like, we're working on a TV show about trashy TV.
Oh, I watched absolute garbage. It's fine. You know what I rewatched this weekend was all the Hunger Game movies.
Oh.
Rewatched those, and those are hella good.
Okay.
Like, I didn't remember how good they were. Definitely the first and second one are like, those are the better ones. And then it's a lot of like, let's just take down the Capitol. Okay, here's another scene of let's talk about taking down the Capitol. Okay, cool. Let's drive to this guy's house and talk about taking down the Capitol. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is up 2 hours of just go to the goddamn Capitol. Like, it was a lot of that. But I rewatched that. But my guilty pleasure is shit television. I love shit television. Do you know how many 90 Day Fiancé spinoffs there are?
No.
My roommate watched the entire season of 90 Day Fiancé Quarantine. Are you kidding me? Who in their right mind would watch 90 Day Fiancé celebrities in their fucking house recording things on their telephone? Me, 100% from start to finish, even the couples I didn't know. I was like, why am I watching this? It was insane. It was insane. I'm sweating my fucking ass off right now.
You? Look at the dress I'm wearing. I can't spread my legs. It's not Ben Shapiro dry down there.
I was actually very, very curious on what your getup would be today because, I mean, the makeup did not happen for me at all. At all.
Oh.
I was late to the show, actually. I'm usually here right on time, and I was late because I was in a cold shower just trying to bring my body temperature down.
So the first thing that I had going for me today was I bought, like, one of my brushes, my foundation brushes, just started like the bristles just were coming out when I washed it last. So I was like, maybe I should buy a new one. Oh my God, made a huge difference. But I forgot to leave my air conditioner on this morning. So I did my makeup and it was like 81, 82 degrees. And if I didn't have a drag mom that taught me how to do shit like that, I wouldn't be here right now.
Okay, I'm really glad you brought it back to the air conditioner because I didn't know how you were going to turn that boring story into something that was relevant to what we were talking about, but I'm proud of you. Good work. Good work.
Thank you.
Oh, man.
Thank
Almost
you.
impressed the second time, but let's not get ahead of ourselves.
No.
All right, I'm going to go.
Okay.
But I love you.
I love you too. I'll talk to you soon. I
Bye.
love your hair.
Thank you.
All right, peers and queers. That was Chelsea Bearce. You can find her on Instagram at Chalknilla. You can find her on Facebook. You can find her cakes at Chelsea Got Cakes. And those are all the places you can find her. Zoom show this coming Friday. It's 3 comics. I know all 3 of them, and they're all moms, and like that's the theme. I'm not in it because I'm not a mom. Also, if you want to follow Mean Dave, you can find him on YouTube. Just search In the Meantime with Mean Dave. That is, yeah? Oh, he's saying something. Can we bring... Oh, unmute yourself, Mean Dave. Come back.
Is it, also, your friend David Shapiro, I believe, is on one of my shows on Zoom.
Oh, is he? Which show?
I believe it's our comedian show and tell, and I believe it's this Thursday, if I'm not mistaken.
Thursday, August 20th. Okay.
Yeah,
Are
I
you
believe
sure?
so.
Are you that far down the list that you booked David Shapiro?
I have nothing but wonderful things to say about David Shapiro. There's Suzette, and I'll be damned if you know, because without David Shapiro, I don't know if you would have a Suzette Veneti. So I mean, I'm not exactly sure about all of the associations and all that, but I'm just saying, Dave Shapiro, wonderful dude, and he will be on our comedian show and tell, where we basically It's a Zoom show, 7:00 on Thursdays, and we have comedians on, and it's like just like being kids. We share. We have an object. We talk about it for 5 minutes, and then people then both the audience and other comics will ask questions, and because it's comedians and our audience, it's kind of a fun interactive, intimate audience. Humor happens from there, so it's kind of a podcast format, but it's a lot of fun.
Where can people watch the show?
On Zoom. So if you can, if you want to, just hit me up on social media. You can find me on Facebook, Mean Dave, first name Mean, last name Dave. You can follow me on Instagram at Mean_Dave, or find me on Twitter at MeanDaveTime. And follow me, send me a message, and I'll make sure you get the link. So.
And you run that show with Nina G.
Nina G, damn right. Every Thursday, 7:00.
Okay, so if viewers of the Suzette Veneti Show, if you want to see the comedian show and tell with Mean Dave and Nina G, and this week on August 20th with David Shapiro, find one of them on Instagram or Facebook and ask them for the link to the Zoom show. And Mean Dave's information is below him. David Shapiro is always here at the end in case we need to make a cut. That's why we put him there. So his information will be below him. He'll post about it probably because he's a attention whore and he does anything for attention. I can tell you that from personal knowledge. He would do anything. Anyway, you can find him on August 20th with Mean Dave doing comedian show and tell. Dave, when you do that show, what's the most interesting thing someone's shared?
Hard to say. We got a lot of good. I mean, we had a lot of good stuff. Probably the one that was the kind of the weirdest was someone shared comedian Teddy Hull. He had a mummified pig in a jar.
Oh yes.
And he's kind of into like dark music and bands and stuff. Like he's got tattoos all over him and all that bullshit. But it's not like something that if you were to see his apartment, he's got like the apartment of a serial killer. So there's not much in it. And so the one thing that he had that he thought was interesting was this mummified pig in a jar. And then one of Nina G's friends joined the show late and caught just that part of talking about the pig in the jar, and she bounced from the show right away. So that was fun. But there's been some other things. I'm always at a loss. Like I shared about this. This is a necklace I got right here. This is one of those things. It's a trout head necklace that's made specifically from. It was made from a design from one of my first nicknames in high school, Trout Head. And I used to draw this trout head, and my mom tricked me into drawing it. And she made this as a graduation gift. And then I have another thing that I got when my grandma died. My mom gave me this medallion of St. Christopher because I was just getting sober at the time. Actually, she hadn't died yet, but I was just when I got clean. It was one of the things that my mom gave me to. I don't know. It's been like one of my little good luck charms in sobriety. So, but yeah, it's stuff like that. So like we'll have an object or something that we care about. And I think I had a costume. I had also a costume. I was, New Wave Dave, the Garbage Pail Kid from the garbage, the first series of Garbage Pail Kids. Mm-hmm. I have an actual costume, life size for a 10-year-old. That was it was a Garbage Pail Kid card. So I was a card. I wasn't just the character. I was the actual card that was life size for a kid. And we still have the costume. We have it like encased in something. So I was sharing that. So that was pretty cool.
That is cool. Are you really familiar with the Garbage Pail Kids, the originals?
Somewhat, not much today. I know I got them in one of my boxes here. I got what I used to have. So I used to collect them, and I don't know how much they're really worth. Like there was a time where they were valuable, and that time was a long time ago. I don't think they're nearly as valuable as they used to be.
Oh no, I was just wondering if you knew all the names.
Oh, I don't know, not all the names. There was a bunch of them.
Because there's one of my friends here in Sacramento, a drag queen is Betty Booger.
Oh, nice.
And I think there's a Garbage Pail Kid. I think I'm like 2 years too young for the Garbage Pail Kids. But I think there was one named Booger Betty.
Wouldn't doubt it. That sounds like one.
Yeah.
I know there's been other characters I'm sure people have used for all kinds of ideas.
So more importantly, I hear you're going to be marrying Chelsea Bearce.
That's what she says, and you know what? I'm not going to object to it. I don't really. I believe me. I'm not. I don't have a way to get to her. I can't drive, so that's going to be the hardest part about any of this marriage business. Is she's going to have to come pick me up. And
Okay.
that's, sometimes those are deal breakers with relationships. So.
Well, maybe one of my viewers out there really wants this match to happen, and they'll offer to chauffeur
Be the
you
marriage
guys.
Uber. Yeah, there you go.
Right, before they leave California.
Damn right.
Well, Mean Dave, thanks for coming back and telling us about the show on August 20th.
No
The
problem.
show and
Just
tell
want to
show.
promote that. Help David Shapiro out. So. All right.
Well, I'm glad one of us does. You're the best. Take care. All right, Peers and Queers, once again, that's Mean Dave. You can follow him at mean_Dave on Instagram. Find him on Facebook, Mean Dave, and you can find him on the Show and Tell show August 20th. And with that, I'm going to pick back up my phone and not just the Zoom part. I'm going to read an introduction. That's not an introduction. I don't remember if I wrote the introduction. And that's not professional. But I'll just tell you. Let me get to the question part. Here we go. This is why a girl needs a Chromebook. This next drag queen is known as the vegan drag queen. She travels not only the country, but the world, performing in shows, giving a voice to the voiceless, and raising money for the causes that she sees to give performance to. This is why you write them out beforehand. She's amazing. She's fantastic. She's here with us tonight all the way from New York City. Peers and Queers, give it up for Honey LaBronx.
Hi, hello.
Hi.
Suzette. It's so good to see you.
You too. How are you?
I'm good, but before I ever started doing drag, I was a professional photographer. So I just need to do a little test. Can you hear this?
Yes.
Okay, so you're here. You hear that tap?
Yes.
Oh, then that means we're picking me up through the headset. So do you hear me okay?
It's a little bit muffled, but I can hear you.
Okay, let me try something, and you'll probably hear me better, though I'm going to sacrifice my discomfort. Alexa, turn off the fan. Alexa, set the thermostat to 90.
The AC is set to 90.
She is bougie like that. Now, in about 20 seconds, the AC will cut off. I'm not really cranking the heat up to 90. It's just, if I tell her to set the air conditioning to 90, she'll just stop blowing cold air out of that vent. So, in a second, do I sound any better now that the fan is off?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and sometimes what I
Ladies and
hear
gentlemen,
isn't
Thank you so much for coming out to our sound check today.
indeed. Sometimes it sounds better on Twitch than what I can hear in the studio. So I think we're good. We're just gonna go with
There we
it.
go. The AC just went off, so I probably sound a little better now. Or I could take off the headset.
Yeah, that's up to you. I think it's good enough.
Okay.
Honey, what have you been doing during the COVID world pandemic?
Oh, very, very good questions. Very busy couple of months for Honey LaBronx. Usually I get up at the crack of like 6 p.m. And then after a couple of hours of looking at my phone, I move to the couch. Now that's most of my day right there, but I don't want to underestimate how hard that is, willing myself to go into the other room to sit and stare, first at the right corner for a while, and then eventually at the left corner. I do prefer the right. No, I'm just kidding. First off, hi to everyone out there, the viewing audience at home. If there is one of you that struggles with ADHD, I see you. I recognize this struggle. ADHD, you're going to find out soon from my train of thought here, but I don't give short answers, so let me try to condense this. I tour with my drag show for a living, and the last I did a show was in the Midwest. I did Madison, Milwaukee, Indianapolis in January, thinking I'd continue here when I got back home. By the way, I have not done drag in like 2 months, and you know that feeling where your body is rejecting the drag? My eyelashes are like, no, no, I don't care what they are. I take them off. I will not do that. But I got back to New York, and I was like, oh, I got to make another tour. I got to organize another tour. And when I'm on the road, I often organize my tours like with 5 entire days notice. So like, 5 days notice from like, hey, should we do a show in Scranton? 5 days later, Scranton, you were great. Thank you. Good night. And I was just like, I'm not in a mood to throw something together quickly. So I had this intuition in late February, early March. I thought, I would love to not go back on the road. If I could find a way to justify staying home and staying in my apartment for like 2 or 3 months and not having to work and just focusing on turning this place into the multimedia studio of my dreams. And then boom, COVID, shelter in place, pandemic on its distance. And so here I am doing exactly what I set out to.
Fantastic.
And by the way, you know this. This is why it took me so long getting ready, because you insisted that I prioritize my well-being and I take a little nap before the show. With ADHD, I don't get anything done unless I stay up all night to do it. And no, not any drugs or whatever. Actually, this past Thursday, hi to, is it Mean Dave?
It is Mean Dave.
I did not find him that mean, to be honest.
Oh.
I don't know if he wants, but if he wants to be considered mean, he was so mean. Roughed me up at the stage door.
If he was here,
showed me the what for.
He would tell you
but
that
he also sober here. This past Thursday, August 13th, was 12 years clean and sober, and yet you would still think I'm Ellen Burstyn in Requiem for a Dream. Like, you come over at 4 a.m, and I'm always looking for the same thing. Where's my tape measure? Where's my tape measure? Where's my tape measure? So now I just have 3 of them. And I finally, it's going to look like a fright in here, but I finally, over my bed, oh my God, I'm giving you the grand tour. Over my bed, I finally mounted yon shelves here, which was just not as easy to do as it seems. And I also, because listen, she is a butch queen out of drag. I know I'm not using that term correctly because I don't know what that really means, but I am, in another life, I was Bob Vila of this old house. I have an entire woodworking studio. I got my drill. I got my hammer drill. I was drilling in the concrete ceiling earlier. So I just stayed up all night installing this. I put these on like one of those like hospital ceiling tracks. So it's not a curtain rod. It's just like the ceiling track that just glides. And you know what? Because I won the affordable housing lottery, I live in a beautiful apartment for $640 a month. So whatever, my security deposit is $640. Every decision I make comes down to that. I'm like, man, all right, well, I was going to put that security deposit towards a new cell phone, but oh well.
Well, so a couple things. If Mean Dave was here, he would tell you that it's short for Meaningful David. He gets that a lot, where people are like, you're not meaningful.
Oh.
Right? He's one of my favorite people. Then I have to say, I can identify. There are some rumors out there that Suzette Veneti never sleeps. And then Suzette Veneti's people that know her best are like, are you ever awake? So it's a weird life that we live in the margins of society.
Well, I think they get that just from talking to you.
Probably. So you have
Wake up, Pearl.
And a reminder to viewers and to you, I don't know if you heard this at the top of the show. I'm without my little desktop computer that I usually, well, it's not desktop. That's a different thing. Old people out there are like, a desktop computer. My little Chromebook that sits on my desk so I can see you. So if I look at my phone during the interview, it's just to look at you, or it's to look at the questions that I'm going to ask. One of those questions is you have a play that you wrote.
Yes.
Would you like to tell us about it?
I was going to do a joke there and be like, I'd like to phone a friend, please. All right, so I wrote a play, and here's the gag. I moved to New York 20 years ago this October, from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but nobody's perfect. I never intended to be a playwright. In fact, if you had asked me, do I think I could write a play? I'd be like, oh, I don't have a writer's, I mean, I'm a good writer, but that's not my art, is like I don't write stuff. This play started off, there's a wonderful space here in New York City called Judson Memorial Church. It's off Washington Square Park South. That's where like the first gay weddings were performed. They still do them. And they have this like artist space. They believe artists are God's messengers. So as a church, it's their duty to provide God's messengers a platform to share their message. And they tell them no censorship. Can I say bad words on here?
Yes.
Okay. They literally were setting up for my friend's show, and he was like, oh, this is going to be really technically advanced. And they're like, listen, the show before yours was a queefing concert. The sound guy was like, I had to mic an orchestra of women queefing. So, like, this church is pretty out there, and, like, the only censorship, they were like, we do ask that you not use hate speech in the show, but, like, that was, like, the limit. So I had 9 months to plan something. And don't give someone with ADHD 9 months to plan something that should take 9 months. You give them 9 days, and then they're going to get it done. So 8 months went by. A month before, I called them, and I'm like, listen, can we just give the day to some other artist? I can't. I've tried. I have nothing. He's like, hey, listen, it doesn't have to be your original idea. You know, just do whatever. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're right. 3 weeks goes by. A week before the show, I'm like, I have nothing. And he's like, all right, well, then come get on stage and read the phone book. We'll see you Wednesday. So I'm like, it's a week away. I have nothing. And then I thought, I have some really good stories, but I would never tell them publicly because they're very embarrassing or very incriminating or very illegal. And I thought, if I can swear my audience to secrecy, I will do this one night only. It's never happening again. I will deny any knowledge of it. And I threw this thing together and performed it without really getting a chance to look at what I created. And by the end of the show, like, I didn't tell anyone I told maybe 10 people, like, about my show. We had to stop letting people in because we got over the fire capacity. This is just the reading. And I sound like I'm bragging. I'm really just surprised. Because when I looked at it at the end, it's like, oh, this is a play. Like, I wrote a play. And everyone's like, when are you doing your play again? And I'm like, never. That's the whole idea. And they're like, no, you have to. So I entered it into a festival. And then, like, the second I hit submit, I was like, oh, God. There's no way they're not going to pick it. I'm doing this. So I did it at the Dixon Place Hot Festival in 2017. 2018, I did it again in the Crane Theater as part of the Queerly Festival. And then, like, a few weeks later, I did it at Teatro Narbio. Do you know where Teatro Narbio is, the theater?
Mm-mm.
It's down by the lake, the Tjörnen Lake, in Reykjavik, Iceland.
Oh, no, I haven't been yet.
So I did the show in Reykjavik. No big deal, you guys. Calm down. Everyone does things. You know, everyone accomplishes things and strives for greatness. So I'm at the point where I'm just like, I guess I'm doing this play, and I really wanted to bring it back this summer, and it's out of drag. It has nothing to do with Honey LaBronx. People who know me as the vegan drag queen would come and see this show and be like, I had no idea. I've always wanted to say this. Suzette, I'm going to get emotional. I've always wanted to say this on a talk show. I believe we have a clip. Do we have a clip?
We have a clip. We're queued up. Shall we roll it?
Is there a clip?
Yeah. Okay, let's roll the clip.
So I don't remember much about 7th grade other than masturbation. I'm sure I do a few more school plays, make some more friends, have some more sleepovers, but At the age of 12, I decided that more than anything, I want to get as good as I can possibly get at masturbation. I first discovered after taking a bath. After the water drained, I noticed that the leftover soap made the tub really slippery, and I could slide around on my back, which was fun. Wait a minute. I can also slide around on my front, I discovered, which was also really fun. And now, for the time being, this is the only way I know how to get off, but I soon discover that the job can actually be done manually. And true, using my own hand does afford a certain convenience. But why stop there? I begin to search for other ways to get off. Now, I discover I can get off by inserting my penis into the hose of the wet dry vac. Even holding my dick against the vibrating handle of the snowblower could get the job done. But still, I knew there had to be more. Here's where having a bunk bed all to yourself comes in really handy. So I would lay there on the bottom bunk, and I would roll my hips back and get my legs as far back behind my head as they would go, resting my legs on the bunk above me. Now, this position is tiring, painful, and very hard to get out of quickly. You have to lower your legs really slowly, or it feels like your back would literally snap in half. Oh, but it was worth it. Never before had there been a penis so close to my face. So I actually, in gym class, I would practice this position, and I would lay on the floor mats and practice just doing this. And sure, the other kids would make comments when they'd see me doing this out in the open, but I wasn't worried. I figured it doesn't look too obvious what I'm trying to accomplish. At home, I would grab my dick and I would tug on it, and I would stick my tongue as far out of my mouth. And even though they were only a few inches from touching, I felt like they were worlds apart. That only makes me try harder. I actually prescribed myself a series of stretches and exercises every night before bed. I would do back bends, sit-ups, neck stretches, and I would grab my tongue and pull it. And one night, after lots of patience and lots of exercise, the tip of my tongue and the tip of my penis just barely touched. Success! From now, I know it's just a matter of time. And in no time at all, I am now able to suck my dick with no trouble whatsoever. There is no place I would rather be than at home in bed, with my legs up over my head, my feet behind my head, my face between my legs, sucking my own dick, both getting and giving a blowjob. What could be better than this? Now, if you saw this music video, it's not hard to see why this song turns me on so much. So there I am in bed, sucking my own dick to the tune of I'm Too Sexy, thinking, what could be better than this? Now, if the original song turned me on, the Spanish version turned me on so much more. So there I am in bed, sucking my own dick to the tune of Yo Soy Tan Sexy, thinking, what could be better than this? I only tried this once, but I figured the only thing better than sucking my own dick off my dick. So there I am in bed, sucking my own Reese's penis. To the tune of Your Soy Tom Sexy, thinking, what could be better than this? My brother walks in. Now, obviously, I can't move. And apparently neither can my brother. Now, where most people would gasp and immediately close the door as a reflex, my brother just stands there frozen, avoiding eye contact. He tries making small talk. On my desk, there's an origami t-shirt I made out of $1 bill. He picks it up and says, "Oh, this looks interesting." I try lowering my legs as fast as my back will allow, and I say something to the effect of, "It's not what it looks like." But come on. That deserves
Thank you. Yes, I'm a man and a woman of many talents.
Yes. So what's the play called?
It's called Coming Clean, though I'm open to changing the title. I haven't really settled on the perfect title, but Coming Clean is what I've been calling it.
I think Coming Clean is a good title right now.
I'll tell you, the reason I call it that is the first time I went out and did the show, even listening to that right now for 6 minutes and 50 seconds, thank you for your time, it is so hard hearing those things said publicly because it's so vulnerable and raw and personal. And I thought about it. I'm like, doing the show the first time in front of 120 people in a theater that's at 100, it felt like I was like taking a shower before an audience and just like, all right, I'm letting everything go. Here it is. So yeah, it's been really awesome to like just own that.
There is something very vulnerable and raw to all art and all theater, but certainly you've written and performed a piece about your piece that's a little more vulnerable and raw. When can people see it again?
Well, with Miss Rona, who knows, I was originally hoping to do something with it this year. But I've decided, because of coronavirus and everyone's doing things online, I have the footage from the show. I never intended that for a public viewing. That was just for my reference, maybe if I wanted to workshop the show or, pitch it to someone. But I finally decided I am just going to put the show out there. So in a couple of weeks, I'm hoping for maybe September, first week of September, I would like to have a one-time only online viewing of the show. Something where people can pay their online ticket price and then they have 48 hours to view it or something like that. So for people to follow up on that, follow me on the Instagram. In fact, you know what? If you're watching at home and you like free shit, type in @Honey LaBronx on Facebook and find me on the on the Instagram. And the first 3 people that like me on Instagram, I will DM you for your address because I'm going to send the first 3 people who follow me a free little something. But yes, in addition to that, go to vegandragqueen.com and sign up for my mailing list. That is where I will notify everyone, hey, here's the date of the show. Here's how you can see it online.
Very cool. And I want to also mention that if anyone's going online to find you, not only can they find you on Instagram @HoneyLaBronx, they can sign up for your mailing list, like you said. Your YouTube channel, you have a show, The Vegan Drag Queen, where they can find you. And they can also subscribe to your podcast, Big Fat Vegan Radio. And then if they really want to show some support, for as little as $2 a month, they can support you on Patreon. Where can they find you on Patreon?
Patreon.com/Honey LaBronx. It's all about that. That / will get a lot done for you. If you just go to Honey LaBronx, to vegandragqueen.com, everything is there. So there's a link right there for my Patreon. There's a link to some merch, and just links to other, and also, if you want me to bring my show to your city when it's safe to do so again, or if you have an organization that you would like me to do a fundraiser show for, if you go to vegandragqueen.com and click on tour, there's a couple of different surveys you can fill out. For example, like, hey, I want you to raise money for my organization. Hey, I want you to come to my city. Oh my God, I'm obsessed with you. How can I volunteer for you for free so you can put me to work and help you be more productive? You name it, there's a survey for it. You're lonely, you're cold, you haven't been touched in a while by a warm hand, you'll find a survey for that. Surveys for everything.
Survey. I want to ask some questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, sweet.
In the spirit of asking questions, I will try to be as lightning round as possible, unless you're like, oh no, tell the story, sis. I'll try to be concise.
Oh, no, I know who I book. You do you. I'm not
Thanks.
asking you to be anybody
Thanks.
other than the beautiful Honey LaBronx you are, and in the video, Ben. So you've traveled the world to do your shows. What's your favorite place in the world that you've done a show?
It's so hard to say that because I have done 73 cities in 5 countries. The countries, of course, are United States, Canada, Iceland, and Germany, and England. And also Puerto Rico. I'm kidding. I haven't been in Puerto Rico, and it's not a different country. But this is going to seem schmaltzy because I know one of them is watching right now, but when I think about what's my favorite city to perform in, it's actually Scranton, Pennsylvania. I had never been to Scranton. This was one of those shows where I was on my way to go and get my rental car, ready. Oh, this is not me even making a half-assed effort to give you a short answer. But I was like on my way to get my rental car. I'd already planned out the tour. And finally, this venue I contacted in Scranton was like, hey, we didn't see your message, but yeah, sounds good. If you wanted to do a show on Saturday, I'm like, it's Thursday right now. Like, are you suggesting we do a show in 40? And I was just like, if they're bold enough to throw together a show in 48 hours, so am I. We sold out. They said we've had drag show. It was like a ballroom and like a big sort of like a space where you'd rent out like the ballroom. And they were like, we've had 2 drag shows here before ever. This is the first time we've seen this room sold out for a drag show. So when people try to tell me like, oh my God, it's only 2 weeks away, that's just not a lot of time. I'm like, you don't get to say that to me. You just don't. But I would say it's hard to pinpoint my favorite place to do a show because there's different factors. Like, well, where did I make the most money? Where did I have the most surprisingly wonderful show? So one of my favorite shows ever was just like the greatest audience and like just it was like it made me feel like a rock star. Was Greenville, South Carolina.
Oh.
My Madison, Wisconsin is one of my other favorites. Anywhere in the state of Pennsylvania, I'll say I'm not a fan of their local government, but every single city I've ever performed in Pennsylvania, all the major ones pretty much, every single one of them is just like endlessly wonderful. And it's because of the people in Pennsylvania specifically. And the other, in South Carolina, any show I've done anywhere in South Carolina is, well, the exception of like the very last one. I tried to drive back down there for an encore, like only like 5 weeks after I'd already done the show. But any show I've ever done in South Carolina or Pennsylvania is fantastic. And Madison, Wisconsin, and yeah.
Well, I have to say, as a Pennsylvanian, thank you for saying that the people of Pennsylvania make it great.
Where are you from?
Oh, Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Oh, do you know Cadillac?
Yeah.
Cat Delac. She's a burlesque performer.
Oh, no, I don't.
Okay. Well, hi, Cadillac. She found me when I was. Someone's like, "Hey, get in touch with this lady. She's coming to Pittsburgh," and she's like, "Hey, you can stay with me." And I'm like, "Well, that's I don't need. I was thinking I might find." She's like, "No. Everyone who comes to Pittsburgh to perform, they stay here. They'll be on the 4th floor. Here you go." And it turns out like Devin Green. You're like, "Welcome to my bathroom." Like big personalities come through there and stay with Kat. So I feel like I've got like a home in Pittsburgh.
That's awesome. No, I didn't start performing until long after I left. So I don't know any performers there. But
Yeah.
it's a great place. Let's see. So
Pittsburgh
what's
is
your...
like the San Francisco of the East Coast. Like
Oh.
no one told me, like, okay, you're going to take this 120-degree incline up, and then you're going to make a 90-degree left turn also at 100. I'm like, I'm going to fall off this mountain. Pittsburgh is trying to kill you.
It does. It's, we're Yinzers.
Yeah.
What's it like to travel and do drag? How do you do laundry?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't give short answers. Well, generally, when I tour, I have a friend, I rent his car, and we've got a great deal arranged between us, so that keeps costs down. Actually, speaking of surveys, if you go to my website, click on tour, there's a survey for, honey, you can stay in my home when you tour through my city. So I have a whole spreadsheet of people who have offered, like, if you're ever in this city, you can stay with me. Here's what's that?
Oh, no, I'm listening.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was hearing someone. So I have a whole spreadsheet, and then you can import. I'm sorry. I am such a data and spreadsheet nerd, and I'm not shy about. After hooking up with someone, I will try not to, and then I'll end up talking about spreadsheets. I'm like, can I just show you this one spreadsheet I made? And I'm like, what? And I'm watching myself doing it. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? But that's how I'm going to find the one, though, or the 12. But so I imported that spreadsheet into Google Maps. So I have a whole layer in my custom Google Maps. It just shows me little yellow houses all around the world. And I can click on one, and I'm like, oh, Judy in Colorado says I can stay with her. Oh, she has a private guest room. Oh, and she has a Peloton bike. All of these questions are on my form. So when I'm looking at my Google Maps, just navigating on the road, I'm like, oh, I could stay with someone 20 miles this way. Ooh, if I go an extra 10 miles that way, it's pet-free, so my allergies, and I'd have my own private room and not sleep on the couch in the living room because she is what? Thorough. But yeah, so I generally stay in strangers' homes. And the strange thing is, I'm so nocturnal, and it will take me 6 or 7 hours to make a 3-hour car trip. I'm just about the journey, even if I never make the destination. So usually, I arrive at like 2 or 3 in the morning and just let myself into a perfect stranger's home, and then they wake up in the morning and there's a drag queen in their spare room. You're welcome.
Well, that's kind of
So that's kind of how I usually do laundry is in their places. But I am ready for it. I have these like piece of paper detergent sheets. You just put one in, and there's this little foldable silicone like canteen that you can like put your laundry in, and it turns into a big jug you can shake. And then I have a clothesline I can put up in the back of the car and hang my clothes. I've never had cause to use it though. But I also found if you want to sell something, advertise it on Instagram in a commercial with video. I will buy it. I don't care what it is. I don't care if I already have one. And they have this collapsible bucket, this tall, collapsed, and it's basically a like 1.5 gallon personal portable washing machine bucket. So I might want to get something like that.
Very cool. So that answers my next question. How do you sleep while you're traveling? You sleep. I wouldn't call them strangers. What do fans of Honey LaBronx call themselves?
They are my chickpeas. But keep in mind, my chickpeas. My fans are my chickpeas. Hi, my little chickpeas. But these aren't necessarily even fans. These are often. Once I stayed with someone who the person I was going to stay with had to back out last minute, so they just called some random person they knew and asked them. So someone who's like, I don't even know how I got roped into this, but there's a drag queen staying with me. So sometimes they're not even chickpeas. But you're right, I don't call them fans. I call them like potential serial murderers, because I don't know.
Do they ever now? Drag queens don't
try anything. Yes, every time. Pansy. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Drag queens don't. So, Tu Wong Fu, thanks for everything, Julie Newmar, depicts drag queens in drag 24 hours a day, and most drag queens will tell you that's not how they do it. So when you show up at somebody's house, you're not in drag most of the time. Are they surprised?
Usually, correct.
Did they expect you to be in drag? Are they confused? Yeah. Do they ask you?
Well, you know, what's funny to me, listen, I've done some things in my life that I'm not proud of. I can admit only here on the Suzette Veneti show, I once waited tables at Dave & Buster's in Times Square. Okay? But, like, see me for, like, the person that, like, God made me out. I work with people, they knew I was a drag queen, but like, I don't know how I got this knowledge, but I was talking to one of them one day and I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, are you thinking that I wish I were a woman? He's like, well, yeah. And I'm like, no, do you think Robin Williams wished he was a woman when he played Mrs. Doubtfire? Like, these are characters we play. And he's like, Ben, if you asked, Ben is my boy name, he's like, if you asked around, I think you'd find everyone probably shares that view. I'm like, no, there's no way. Turns out everyone I work with thinks that me being a drag queen means I would rather be a woman. I mean, I've never been a woman, so I don't know what to compare it to, but male privilege, give that up? God, no. And everyone also thought that, I don't know why straight people always want to go ahead and visualize and imagine gay people's sex lives. I'm like, please keep your imagination out of my anatomy and out of my room. But he was like, yeah, like when you have sex though, are you dressed up? Like we just assume that whenever you have sex with someone, you're dressed as a woman. And I'm like, what about this looks comfortable? Well, actually, everything. I'm in jeans and sneakers. Maybe that's right. Oh my God, I think I'm gonna miss going back on stage and actually having to pad and tuck and whatever. But yeah. So I find it shocking how many misconceptions there are. Maybe not about drag, but like misconceptions about gender and sex and sexual orientation.
Well, I mean, I was going to ask you how you wash your makeup brushes on the road, but that's not as interesting as maybe clearing up some misconceptions that people have about drag. If you'd like to do it, we can do that.
Yeah, I mean, no, I think that was pretty much it. Like, okay. Drag queens aren't necessarily drag queens because they're secretly a trans woman inside. Although there are trans women who do drag, there are people who do drag, and I've known about maybe 2 or 3 people who did drag, and through it realized like, this is me. My friend Pearl, like way back in the day, she went, not Pearl from Drag Race, she went to Fire Island, she got in drag, and then they get on the train to go back home, and they're like, all right, we'll take everything off, and she's like, no, Pearl's telling me I can't take it off. Like, this is me now. And she realized she was a trans woman.
Yeah, drag is... I often have this conversation with people because people think that drag is specifically mostly people assume it's going to be a gay white man being a woman, and it's like, no, drag is an umbrella term, much like comedy. Just like not all comedy is a straight white man telling funny. Jokes.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
So no, I mean, drag and comedy are very similar, but drag is just an art form, and anyone can do it for any reason. And there's a million different reasons that drag queens and drag princesses do it. And so you should just ask, because most drag queens will explain why they do it.
Sure. Yeah, they're happy to. I should also say, I guess it is a bit presumptive to go up to a drag queen and assume that you have access to ask their sexual orientation, their gender,
True.
we're all getting in the habit of openly asking gender nowadays. But what's one thing that's so funny to me is being a gay man underneath all this. I know, you can't even imagine. You're like, I thought this was just a woman.
I thought so.
But how often people will ask questions, and I'm just like, that question is so invasive, and you ask that so casually, that it just like, there's this really icky feeling sometimes walking around in the world as a gay man, just like realizing what people are thinking and assuming, and just it's weird. Like I kind of wish people would like stop seeing us as like, oh, that's the gay guy I work with, and just be like, oh yeah, that's the guy that I work with.
I think maybe we're moving that way.
By the way, about drag, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I listen, male privilege. I interrupt women all the time, but when it's funny how like people like how RuPaul, for example, is like, no, like RuPaul said, somewhere on my Twitter at Honey LaBronx, I recently said like, RuPaul, drag is about giving the finger to the male-dominated blah blah blah. Also, RuPaul, literally in the same sentence earlier, but no, women can't do drag, because if women are doing it, then it loses its sense of irony and danger. And I'm like, what happened to drag is just saying fuck you to gender? Like, and I'm like, yeah, because, just like baseball and NFL and blah, 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 we should have one more thing women can't. Like, who am I to dress up as a woman and tell women they don't have access to this? It's ridiculous.
Oh,
and my God, I know some women who are fierce drag queens. No, not faux queens, not bio queens. They're drag queens. Shout out to Faye Ludes, my fellow vegan drag queen in Chicago. She's fierce. But here, I define drag as using gender and exaggeration as an artistic medium.
That is
Period.
a good definition. And I want to make sure that I confirm what you said and re-clarify what I was saying. Drag isn't just for drag queens and drag princesses. It's for women to be drag queens, or women to be drag kings, or dogs to be drag queens, or women to be a drag non-binary creature. Anybody can do drag, and it can be anything. And you're right. Some women that do drag are better than some of the men that do drag. It's just an art form.
Because it's not about gender or body parts. It's about audacity.
Yes.
And I know a lot of women who are way more audacious than me. I never had to be audacious to get what I want. And as Björk, I'm a huge Björk fan. As Björk once said, she's like, to the young girls of the world growing up, no, you're not imagining things. Yes, you really will have to say the same thing your brothers have to say once, you'll have to say it 5 times to be heard. And she said this, she's like, I'm just saying this so you know you're not crazy, and so you know it's not just you, and you know you're not just imagining it.
Yeah, gaslighting, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
So getting back to the road, because I think the conversation we had was so important, and I hope people watch it, and I hope they make clips about it and share those, because you can do that on Twitch. I learned. Getting back to the road, you have a crazy story about being on the road. I was wondering if you'd share that.
Okay. You're referring to the story of how I got to my show in Sacramento where we met, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So listen, I do not believe there is any such thing as impossible. Who are we to say what's possible or not? Do you know, true story, when the Wright brothers first had their first successful flight at Kitty Hawk, The newspapers were afraid to print this story the next day. They were there, they saw it, it happened, but it was so held as a core belief that no, it is impossible for mankind to fly. God reserved that for the birds. So even though they saw it with their eyes, they still couldn't go on record as saying it because they're like, we will sound crazy if we tell the world they flew, but they flew. So what we might think is impossible now, you know, when I was a kid, my dad was telling me we got a color monitor for our computer. It was like about this big, and then sideways, it was about this long. And my dad said, we were talking about like flat screen computer screens, but they were like black and white. My dad said, you will never see a flat screen color computer monitor because in order to render the color, you need these cathode rays and you need this much depth and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, now we have a flat screen that's about as thin as a piece of paper and can fold in half, and it's full color. So like, anyway, when people tell a drag queen, or when people tell me something's impossible, they've basically just paved the way for me. So here's the story. I had just done my Southern California tour. I had a show in San Diego, and then I drove all night, like Celine Dion, to Berkeley to stay with Bob the drag queen from RuPaul's Drag Race is my drag mom. During this period, she was in Berkeley doing Angels in America at the Berkeley Rep. FYI, for someone who moved to New York to be an actor and like got typed out at ragtime, he's like, how am I not the type for ragtime? I'm a tall black man. And I'm like, you know, in fairness, they didn't even hear him sing, so like they didn't know that he's not a singer. But he can sell a song like no one's business. But that's when he got the idea. He's like, why ask for opportunities when I could just make them? So he started just going out and making his own work. But and now here he is, hand-picked by, oh God, Angels in America. I always mix up Terrence McNally. Oh my God, this is gonna be that interview where I forgot the name of who wrote Angels in America, but it's only because I'm so hot right now. So here he is, he does drag, and boom, got handpicked to be in Angels in America. So I go to see him in that show. Now it's my day to leave, and it's Monday, and I'm getting in I go to get in my car. I have all 4 suitcases, and the car garage next door, the gate is down. It's locked. The lights are off. There's no one there. There's also no cars in the garage except one, my rental car, like 200 feet away from my view. And I'm like freaking out because first off, I'm already late to get on the road for Sacramento. And I'm like, I'm hyperventilating. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? As a child, whenever I was in some bind, I would always tell myself, I don't know how, but all of this ends with me putting my head on my pillow in my bedroom tonight. I always know that that's how every day is going to end. So I always know I've already found a way through this. I just haven't found it yet. So, and Bob says to me, he's like, listen, sometimes shows get canceled. And I heard that and I was like, oh, you know what? You're right. Like, if Bob can cancel a show and he's toured the world 3-4 times now, like, yeah, you know what? That's showbiz, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, wait a minute. I am my word. That's all I am. All I am is my word. And all I thought in that moment is there is a poster with my name on it, my face on it, with today's date and the time on it. And it says I'm doing a show tonight at 8 in Sacramento. That carries more weight than the fact that my car is basically impounded. So I go inside and I'm just like, all right, God, I'm praying for a miracle. I don't know how I'm getting there. I typed a Facebook message. I'm like, is there anyone in the Berkeley Bay Area who could drive a drag queen to Sacramento for a show at 8? And I'm sitting there waiting for a reply. Nothing happens. And then I remember how God works. God's not going to make a move if I don't. So I said, if I really believe this is going to be an answered prayer, and I really believe I'm doing my show tonight, well then, bitch, I better start doing my eyebrows. Oh, and when I say a bitch, as a drag queen, I mean that in the way that's demeaning to women. But so I started gluing my eyebrows down, and boom, I get a message from someone saying, hey, I can, I get off work at 7, I can be there at 7:30 and drive you. I'm like, my show is at 8, like that won't help me. This guy, for the vegans who know, he works for Miyoko of Miyoko's Creamery. This is the vegan cheese and butter and dairy lady who makes plant-based dairy. And she's like, wait, was this Honey LaBronx you said? And he's like, yeah. She's like, I will take over your shift. Go pick her up. So this guy, he's like, actually, I'll be there in 30 minutes. I finished my eye makeup. I did the rest in the car. He shows up in this beat-up looking car. And I get in, and he's like, I'm so sorry about the car. I'm like, I could care less. I mean, I just need 4 wheels and a seat. And straight guy, really nice, never been to a drag show. And I'm like, oh, well, you can come and watch my show and then drive me back. I'm volunteering him. I will volunteer people for things so quickly. So we start driving. There's this metal scraping sound. He's like, yeah, that sound, don't worry about it. That's normal. It happens. It will get louder and worse as we go, but don't worry about it. I'm like, I don't care. I'm just going to be doing my face until we're there. About 20 minutes outside the city, he pulls over to the side, to the shoulder of the highway. And, oh, and by the way, we're in the baking sun. This is like a 1960s Dukes of Hazzard, like old Cadillac. There's no AC. It's 90 degrees, not a cloud in the sky. My face is coming off as I'm putting it on. And I'm like, I'm not worried, because I'm like, I already put it out there. I'm on stage at 8. All I know is at 8 o'clock, showtime. I don't know how, but I know it. So he pulls over to the side of the road, gets out, he opens the hood of the trunk, he's clang, 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 doing some straight guy stuff. There's smoke, not smoke, it was like white vapor, white clouds pouring out of the front and pouring out of the back. And I'm like, how, is it good? Are we good? He's like, no. He calls AAA. He's like, hi, I need a tow. And he turns to me and he apologizes. He's like, I am so sorry. I'm like, why? And he's like, I'm sorry you're not going to make it to your show. And I'm like, oh, I'll make it to my show. Who says I'm not? He's like, well, how? And I'm like, I'm already calling an Uber. He's like, is an Uber going to really pick you up from the side of the highway, from the shoulder? I'm like, there's only one way to find out. I got an Uber. They came and got me. The guy looked terrified. I'm like, fucking drive. Don't look at my face. Just drive. And here's the thing. If I had left at 4 p.m., got my car, nothing unusual, drove myself, I'm a slow driver, by the time I got to Badlands and Sacramento, I would have been almost an hour late if I had to get my face on once I got there. Because I got to do my face in the car, I arrived looking like this, well, I mean, hopefully better than this, perched, sitting, just about 15 minutes before the car pulls up. I'm just like, I'm bored, my face is done. I pull up at 7 p.m., an hour before showtime. Miss Apple Adams is standing outside, and she looks at me like I have resurrected from the dead. And she's like, how did, I thought, and I was like, girl, 8 o'clock, showtime, let's go. And here's the thing about that story. Anyone would have accepted, well, what can I do? My car got locked up in the garage. There was nothing anyone would have accepted that excuse. I don't. And one thing that I got excited about in that moment is I've started to relate to myself as someone who is powerful with his word. And here's why. If I tell you, great, I'll call you at 8 o'clock. If I say I'm going to call you at 8 o'clock and I call you at 8:01, the first thing I'm going to say is, I just want to acknowledge it's 8:01. I said I'd call you at 8 and I didn't, and I'm sorry to keep you waiting. Not to grovel or whatever, but like, if I give my word, I'm going to honor my word, or I'm going to keep my word. And if I can't keep my word, I'm going to honor my word by acknowledging that I didn't keep my word. People wonder why. They're like, this is the year I'm going to double my income, or this is the year I'm going to lose that 10 pounds. And then they wonder why it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen because you are casual with your word. You have more practice giving your word and never keeping it than you do giving it and keeping it, not because you knew you could, but because it was your word. And that is the source of my power in life. It's almost like if I say chair, a chair will fall out of my mouth. So in that moment when my car is not available to me, I already knew, I'm like, this is going to be a story of that time I absolutely overcame the impossible yet again and, had a triumph over circumstance. I have another story about being in Bloomington, Indiana in January, going uphill, stuck on a mountain. It was really a hill, but a mountainous hill in a blizzard and getting my car stuck going uphill on a mountain. And I was like 10 minutes away from the venue. And I was just like, if I am stuck, I do have the other half of that sandwich. I was almost looking forward to it. And then I thought, no, I have a show. This is ridiculous. There's 20 cars behind me, all stuck, just like me. I'm the only one that got us out of it. I realized, I'm like, what do I have that's kind of like salt or kitty litter? And I thought, I have Epsom salt. Because I hooked up with a guy in Louisville the night before, so I didn't get to take that Epsom salt bath. I'm like, this better work. I throw one handful of Epsom salt underneath every single tire, and I gun it. And I'd already tried gunning it. Somehow that gave me just the traction that I started back up the hill. Boom, I got to the show. I guess I'll finish the story because I started it. I got to the show. The audience had already been waiting an hour for me. And I thought, all I had on was my foundation and my eyebrows. That was it. Actually, lied. One eyebrow. That was it. And I was like, it's going to take me 90 minutes to duck into the bathroom, finish my face, get in drag. I'm going to need 90 more minutes. And I was like, no. The nature of drag is called, kind of like when you don't have your laptop, the nature of drag is making it work no matter how it looks. No matter what you get to work with, you make it work. So I thought, you know what? No, we're going to do this different, Bloomington. Instead of the same old show everyone else is getting, you're getting something that only Bloomington, Indiana will ever get. I'm like, and it was like more like in a restaurant than a bar. So I was like, miss, you sit over here. Sir, you join her. I sit down there. I set up my makeup mirror. I turn my lights on me. And I'm like, so normally you never get to see this, but today you're going to get a half TED Talk, half drag makeup tutorial. So blah, 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 blah. And when I don't know what to say, I go back in my material and blah, blah, blah. An hour later, my face is done. I'm like, we're now going to take a 15-minute break, go get some drinks, blah, 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 and then showtime. I go into the bathroom. I come back, and I'm like, if I come back out there and half of them are still here, it'll be a good night. All of them were still there, which has nothing to do with me. It's because we're captive, because we're snowed in. That's when you find out what kind of person you are, by the way, is when you have a captive audience that's snowed in. I turn into Kathy Bates in Misery. I'm like, you better hope nothing happens to the audience, because if I die, you die. But anyway, so like, I rescued myself from the mountain. I somehow magically teleported from Berkeley to Sacramento and flew through the Bermuda Triangle and regained an hour of time. So please tell me something's impossible.
Oh,
the end.
Nothing is impossible. But a couple of follow-ups. So I did meet you that night at Badlands, and you mentioned Apple Adams, who is one of, well, I mean, there's no secret there. She's my favorite drag queen. And then also that night, a friend of the show, the Suzette Veneti show, and also, he does a lot of graphic work for this show, and he's my DJ, DJ Pocket. You met him that night. And then, that loud metal noise.
Crush.
What's that?
Spooning officially.
That's your crush?
He's my man crush Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, pretty much 7 days a week.
Okay.
He's very cute.
I think Jesse, we should rename the show Suzette Veneti's Love Connection, because we're doing something right. That loud.
Don't worry, he knows. I've not been subtle about it.
Okay, good. That's fantastic. That loud scraping sound that the car was making, that's exactly what I tell people once every 2 years when I have sex. I say that loud metal scraping sound, just ignore it. It's going to get louder. So I can relate to that.
Did you say once every 2 years?
Yeah, it's a dry season for Suzette Veneti.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
But when it rains, it trickles.
Well, apparently I'm good at helping everybody find somebody except myself. So, matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match. Find me a find. I'm going to stop singing.
I've learned
Yes.
when I was younger, in my teen years, I loved matchmaking.
Oh.
And then I looked back at my record and realized, I'm a horrible matchmaker.
I just love
I'm a
Fiddler on the
great
Roof.
X maker. I will find that X that you're going to never talk to again, and I'll pair you up.
You got to get that out of the way. It's got to happen before you find your forever home.
What would Alanis Morissette have been without an ex-boyfriend she was angry at? I'll tell you what, that would have been a perfectly straight pill.
It would have been what?
It would have been a perfectly straight pill. It would have been not jagged, not one jag.
Right. It's necessary. You mentioned
We did
that.
not recognize at the time how good, how important Jagged Little Pill was. We loved it.
Oh no!
But like re-listening to it recently, I'm like, we really had this in the 90s. I waited on her once at a vegan restaurant. She was very nice. She had an ombre.
It's still an important album. It's still one of the best.
Oh.
From first song to last song. I think there's even a hidden track, if I remember right. Great album.
You know what? My boyfriend when I was in high school, my second boyfriend, my first boyfriend I was 14, he was 15. It was a 1-year long-distance relationship from Wisconsin to Florida. And then a month after that, I met Michael. We were together for 4 years. So like the entire time I'm in high school, I'm in one long-term relationship or the other. And I just got that album. I hadn't finished listening to, like, you know how like when you have to listen to it several times before you really hear the words? And there was this song called Perfect, like don't forget to get first place, like we love you if you're perfect. Try a little harder, that wasn't good enough to make us proud. I didn't hear any of that. I just heard something like you're perfect. And so, like, I play, like back in the day, you play the song for someone over the phone. I played that for him over the phone, like, dedicated it to him. It's basically the song of like a parent living vicariously through their child. And this is like what I played for my new boyfriend. So I took him to lots of auditions, and he did very well for himself. So I make a great Mama Rose.
Well, so speaking of that, you do a style of drag that you refer to as mom drag.
Yes, I do.
So tell my viewers.
I don't think anyone can't see that.
People don't know these things. People don't know. Someone might tune in for the first time and they might say, oh, that's a drag queen. That's what they all must look like. So what is mom drag in your words?
I mean, mom drag for me is kind of a joke. So when the cast is announced on RuPaul's Drag Race, they always have the meet the queens, and the video where like the queen is answering all these questions. And I remember season 8, I was watching them, and other than Bob, I'm like, no one is giving good answers. Like some of these questions, they are missing wonderful jokes. Like, who do you think is rooting for you? They're like, oh, my fans at my regular bar on Wednesday nights, they're all probably cheering me on. So I did what Bob used to do when he didn't get on the show. I made you can find it, Honey LaBronx, RuPaul, Meet the Queens. I made a fake video as if I'm on the show doing a Meet the Queens. I had the same backdrop. I color matched it in Photoshop. I recreated it so much, people started congratulating me for being on Drag Race. I'm like, I'm not on the show. But when they were like asking me like, so who do you think is rooting for you? I just said, my landlord.
That's a good joke.
Because we're in a studio, you can't hear the roaring laughter of the audience, but that landed.
Oh no, I know it did. Because trust me, I do a monologue every week in front of a webcam.
In silence. That's gotta be weird.
Yeah. Would love for some live audience at this point.
You know, when I was a kid, when I was like 3 years old, I think I would watch Three's Company, born in 79. I'm so glad I have my big toe in the 70s. At least I can claim the 70s as my origin. I would watch Three's Company when I'm 3. I don't get anything. But whenever the laugh track came in, I would laugh with it. I don't know what that says about me, but when the TV tells me to laugh, I'm like,
Oh no, there's a guy in Sacramento that goes to comedy shows, and I love him, and he will laugh to encourage other people to laugh. He's the best.
Yes, that's so important.
And he's watching the show, right?
I'm a very good audience member. I'm very supportive.
If you could just tell him hi, I know he's watching the show right now. His name's Robert Bess.
His name is what now?
Robert Bess.
Oh, wonderful. Well, you can tell him that he can go to vegandragqueen.com and click on Shablamio, because Cameo will not accept my application for doing personalized voice greetings and shout-outs. So I just made up Shablamio on my own website. So tell him he can come get a personalized video greeting and shout-out from me if he wants one, and then he can buy it, and then it's his forever.
I think
No, I'm just kidding. Hi, Robert. Thank you for being a supportive audience member. You have to give people permission to laugh. Interesting point. The clip that we showed you of my play, I hear like there's a rule in stand-up clubs where like there has to be an average of like a laugh per 3 or 5 seconds. I forget what it is. And you know how like when you're on stage you never hear it, but watching that video I was like, they're laughing every couple of seconds. Like the laughter is pretty much nonstop throughout the show. And the funny thing is, we did not direct it as comedy. I didn't know it wasn't intended to be funny. I'm just really funny when I'm not trying to be. But the first time, like in that particular theater, we did 2 performances. One was on Friday night, Pride weekend. No one is going to go to the theater Friday night, Pride weekend. And so because the audience was sparse, it wasn't people packed closely together, all sharing that same experience by osmosis. Mm-hmm. It was a bunch of individual people social distancing before it was cool. And because of that, the laughter did not catch on because people were, you know, like you would be on the subway. You know, like if you're on the subway, you're looking at a funny meme. You would never laugh because you don't want to let people see you like, because then people are going to think like, what? He is insane. I don't know why we do that. We hide any emotion on the train. But the next show, it was a full house. I mean, maybe save for like 5 or so seats. And it was like just nonstop laughter because it catches on because everyone's sitting next to someone who's doing it.
Yeah. That people always ask me because I produce shows and they always say like, what makes a good, what's a good show? What makes a good show when you produce? And I say filling the room, whether it's a 240 person room, which I do a show in a room like that. And we filled it one time and it was amazing. And I love where I am right now in Stab Theater. It seats, what, 40? Yeah, about 40, maybe.
And
funny.
I always say what makes a good show is having uglier co-stars.
Oh, well, I have a
That's
show like that too.
Death.
But no, it's you're right, because if I have 40 people where in the theater I am right now, that feels just as amazing as having 200 people in a 200 person room. It's just about not giving the energy anywhere to go, and that laughter becomes contagious. Now, when I'm performing, I feel like people look at me and they say, oh, she's kind of a mess. She's not walking very well in heels and she's not very pretty. I can relate to her. Do you find that people relate to you in your mom drag? Do you feel like moms relate to you?
Huh. Oh, interesting. I realized I didn't give the mom drag answer. I'll go back to that RuPaul Meet the Queens video. One of the questions they asked everyone was like, describe your style. And I'm not, listen, going back to Tu Wong Fu, thanks for everything, Julie Newmar, it's so funny how inaccurate, like that show is absolute fantasy and fiction and fairy tales. The only drag queen in the world who travels the world in full drag 24/7 is Ms. Cracker, basically. I can't tell you the last time I've seen Ms. Cracker in person out of drag, and we've been friends for like 9 years. But Cracker is my sister. In that movie, they say, like, what makes you a drag queen isn't being a man or a woman, but like being a drag queen is when you have too much fashion sense for one gender. And I'm like, oh, really? Oh, sorry. Like, I suffer from what I call fashion blindness. I do not, like, I literally have to hold up combinations of outfits to other drag queens. Like, what about these two? And sometimes, what really hurts, shout out to Renee, who helps me make some of my costumes. Sometimes we'll make costumes together. I'm like, well, I'm thinking this fabric for the pants. I'm like, what about like this fabric for the top? And she'll look at me, and I'm like, what? And she's like, you're joking, right? And I'm like, no. And she's like, oh, honey, no. And I'm like, what? And she's like, honey, that does not go together. I can't tell. It's like color blindness, but for fashion. So in that Meet the Queens video, when they were like, describe your drag style. And I said, okay, my drag style. Okay, so close your eyes. Now picture like your mom is sitting there, and now open your eyes. That's my drag style. So it's kind of just my way of joking that, like, I'm not a fashion queen. I am not a young 20-something. Like, you're not going to go to the club and mistake me for some college girl like Suzette Veneti here. So, like, yeah, and plus, I mean, when I do drag, I exaggerate the women I grew up with, which is, like, very Midwestern and very overly polite and overly pronouncing all of my vowels. And, like, that's just what I lean into. And I feel like it's a very, like, PTA mom energy. And that's just that. You know, I had my drag name picked out 11 years before I ever did drag. And whenever I would say Honey LaBronx, I had no concept of who she would be. You do the best with what you get. But, yeah, I just kind of naturally gravitated towards kind of just being like, you know, here's the thing. I used to work at Lucky Cheng's, which is a drag restaurant in Times Square. And everyone else that worked there was like one of the cool kids, the nightlife kids, the 20-year-olds. And they would look at me, and like I came into work one day and I was looking nice. And one of the queens said to me, like, bitch, you look good. And I said, did you just call me a bitch? And she looked at me, she's like, huh? What? And the other queens that I worked with were chatting with Bob one day, and they're like, what is Honey saying? She's so off. And Bob's like, here's what you don't get about Honey LaBronx. She is in on the joke. Like, she is playing you. Like, my whole act is, I don't get it. My whole act is like, I'm not cool, and I'm not aware that I'm not cool. And I'm just like, yeah, we have lingo, we have slang, we're doing the dances with the thumbs. I got this. Anyway, mom drag.
I wouldn't know what that's like to be in on the joke, and people think that you, because
yeah.
I don't know what I'm saying. So
cool.
mom drag.
You are the joke, but that's even better because someone has to be the joke.
Someone has to be the joke. Mom drag. So do you have you do mom drag? Do you have a drag daughter? Are you a drag mom doing mom drag?
Yes, I am a busy mother of two, eating for three. So Bob is my origin story. My friend Alex Michaels, I was in a show with him the first time I had to do drag, and I was like, I need you to put me in drag. His drag name is Alexis Michelle. He ended up being on season 9 of Drag Queen and made it to top 5. He put me in drag for the first time. I was just volunteering to help sell tickets in amateur drag at a drag pageant. And backstage, and that's where I met Kitten with the Whip, who later became Bob the Drag Queen. And that's the day we became best friends and roommates. And he said, I really want to be your drag mom. Like, do you want to be my drag daughter? And I was like, oh. think about it. Because I was just like, well, isn't Alexis my drag mom? So she put me in. Your drag mom is either the person that put you in drag for the first time or the person who, like, actively mentors you. Like, I believe what makes someone a drag mom is there has to be a conversation about, like, what are we? Am I meant? So, but I said, yes, be my drag mom. And Bob was the most wonderful drag mom, just very, very, like would take me to open competition nights to watch people get up. And after each number, he's like, now, what did you like about that? And what didn't you like? Like, what are your thoughts on that? He'd get my thoughts, and he's like, okay, well, here's what I think. He would point out, like, missed opportunities. He's like, one of them could so easily have just done this or done that. So he was just such a great mentor to me and Ms. Cracker. He's got some other drag daughters as well now. My first drag daughter is Allie Gonza. I helped name her. When I met Allie, I was out with we met through some mutual friends, and he, as a guy, I looked at him, he was talking about moving to New York, and I was just like, he's a very pretty guy with bright blue eyes and a very, like, angular face and just very, like, angelic features. And I looked at him and I'm like, I don't know what's making me say this, but I feel compelled to ask, have you ever done drag? He's like, why? And I'm like, if you wanted to be a drag queen when you move here, you would have a great career as a drag queen. He's like, okay. And I'm like, by any chance, are you musically theater trained? He's like, well, and then of course he shows me the amateur drag picture, and his drag name was Ali Kohal. Alcohol. And I was like, how do you feel about your last name? And he's like, well, I'm like, good. I have a spreadsheet of other names. How about Ali Lou, Ali Shady, Ali Cat, Ali Jazeera, all these great names, and we didn't get it. And then the next day, it just hit me. I'm like, Gonza, Ali Gonza. So she's my drag daughter. This past January, I was in my hometown, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, home of, Trixie Mattel, James Mansfield, Jeffrey Dahmer, and I had finished the show. I'm about to get out of drag, and the manager is like, hey, there's someone here for you from New York. And I'm like, who from New York is this? He's like, she says that she's your drag granddaughter. And I'm like, I don't have a drag granddaughter. And he's like, well, she's upstairs. I come upstairs, there's these two young, handsome men, they're boyfriends. His name is Jonathan. And he's like, hey, Ali Gonza is my drag mom. Well, it turns out Ali Gonza, I'm like, hey, I met your drag daughter. She's like, I have a drag daughter? So I did that thing where, like, well, my grandma raised me as my mom because my mom was an unfit mom. So I basically told her one day, I'm like, if you just want me to be your drag mom, I'd love to. So, and her name is Glamidia Clap.
Fair enough.
Like chlamydia, but Glamidia Clap.
I think that's a really cool. Whenever I have a drag queen on, we always end up talking about drag moms. And that was a really cool story about your drag mom and about you having drag daughters. Thank you for sharing it.
It's a really beautiful, there is something so sacred and beautiful about the drag mother-daughter relationship. Like, it's such a special type of friendship and mentorship.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, I'm lucky that I have other aunts and then other older people that aren't aunts or moms in your family that I'm not legally allowed to say what that relationship is, but I'm lucky to have them. And all of those relationships are so amazing. So what's it like to have a famous, like, world famous drag mom?
I mean, I'll put it this way. I am going to use that name until it's no longer getting my foot in the door. It really does help. When I'm on tour, I send, like, my little pitch letter, my, like, little press packet to all the venues and organizations that I'm proposing, hey, let's do a collaboration. And I always work with, like, hi, Honey LaBronx, a.k.a. the vegan drag queen, blah, blah, blah. My drag mom, Bob the drag queen, won season 8 of Drag Race. My drag sister, Ms. Cracker, was on season 10 and All Stars. My aunt, Monet Exchange, won All Stars 4. I guess there's a little thing that I put in there. Just, But I mean, what it's like, I have always been a very jealous person. And when Bob and I lived together, that's one of the things that Bob was shocked. He's like, I don't understand. Like, you're jealous, like, of so-and-so? And I'm like, well, yeah. He's like, you aren't just happy for them that they got something for them and they succeeded? I'm like, I know it's stupid. I know it's petty. But, like, yeah, like, so-and-so got this great apartment, and I feel like, I should have got that. When Bob got on Drag Race, when Bob won Drag Race, it is one of those times in my life when, and listen, I only have two human emotions, pity or jealousy. I either have pity, Suzanne, or Suzette, whoever you are, or jealousy, like, I want that. This was one of the first times I really experienced having neither of those, just being so truly happy for Bob. I put it this way, before he was on Drag Race, I made it my life's work to be like, no, trust me, you have to come with me to see Bob the Drag. When I believe in an artist, I will make sure everybody knows about them. And just as passionate as I am about Bob the Drag Queen, I am just as passionate about the Chalks. You've never heard of them. They're not drag queens. They are three women. They are cabaret performers. They are basically a trio, a country music disco act. Their album is called Three Girls, Three Guitars, Three Chords. They are so hilarious. And I've just made it my life's work to be like, everyone who knows me is going to come with me to see you guys at some point. So it's one of those moments where I just got to experience what it's like to be truly happy for someone and to see like if Bob wins, that I win. That's all I want,
That's so cool.
I do miss him. I never see him anymore. But, he's always, I have to go to his website. Before I text him, I'll go to his website to be like, let's check his tour schedule. Is he even in the country? Maybe if he's in New York, I'm like, oh, hey, you want to hang out? But the sad thing is, I used to, if I wanted to see Bob, all I'd have to do is like, look at my bedroom door and be like, hey, girl. And then he'd be like, yeah, what? And now if I want to see Bob, it's like I have to schedule it.
The price of fame, I guess. But and you mentioned that you haven't seen Miss Cracker in a while or Bob, but
yeah.
I can tell you
I can be a good friend by remembering. Like there are times where I'm like, I feel slighted. I'm like, oh, I never see you anymore now that you're famous. I have to remember these people get so famous so fast from being on that show and the exposure, and what it puts them through requires superhuman strength. And I get it that I know what it's like to be just with my ADHD. I know what it's like to be completely all consumed by I got to do this. I got to install these shelves. I still have to edit this. This is real stuff. I have to edit a reel. Someone wants to pitch my cooking show to something. I have to finish editing my play and get that up. I have to finish building my living room, blah, 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 blah. I'm one of those people who I'm sorry I'm just responding to your text message now 5 months later, but hey, here I am. You just gotta, if you can't take me at my worst, then you don't deserve me at my worst. That's all there is. It's just my worst. But I can understand that for myself. So I realize I'm very happy to give them that space that they can go and fly. And I've never really been someone who wanted to be on Drag Race because I'm not necessarily that type of drag queen. It's I'm going to be on stage. I'm going to turn it. Look at this gown. I made this outfit. I have fashion. I'm more hey, I'm going to go on the road and I'm going to blaze a trail and I'm going to raise a lot of, I tour with my drag show as a fundraiser for animal rights organizations and LGBTQ organizations. And now that is now with what's going on in the world, I want to do, fundraisers for, people of color, for trans communities. But I've done 111 shows. and I've raised $44,041 to date for charity. Not as much as I thought I would raise by now, but Corona and 2019 was a slow year. But like, I'm very content that I'm doing my own thing. So like, I realize I'm on a different path. I'm on a different track. I don't know where that track's going to take me. I don't know if it's in the same arena as where the drag race track takes those queens. But, you know, I'll close with this because I'm just talking way too much. But, well, it is my interview. But Bob used to, I don't know if I've mentioned that my drag mom is Bob the drag queen.
No.
But I definitely wanted to try to work her name into this
Sure.
interview somehow, some way.
That's Bob the drag
used
queen?
to get, what's that now?
That's Bob the drag queen, you said?
Bob the drag queen.
Okay,
of
just make sure.
of the RuPaul.
Sure.
And yeah, so she's my drag mother. And Miss Cracker is my drag. Anyway, so Miss Cracker and I used to have a show, by the way, and I miss working with her. But what I miss the most is the title of the show because we couldn't figure out what we should call it, and then it hit me. I'm like, I've got the name of the show, and Miss Cracker's like, what? And I'm like, Titties. I miss being like, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Titties. And the show poster is like just a picture of a woman and like her bra and her boobs, and we're popping out of the bra. I do some graphic design on the side. But every year that Bob would audition for Drag Race and not get cast, I think he auditioned 4 times before he got it. And, maybe he got it on the 4th. He got it on the 4th or 5th, I think 4th time. And after his final time auditioning for Drag Race, he was like, back in the day, it would take 2 months to create your audition tape because it's so much work that they require of you. You have to make a music video. You have to lip sync these performances. You have all this stuff you got to do. And he's like, if I don't get it this year, I can't do this again. This is so much time out of my life. And then, but he was so frustrated. He's like, but how am I ever, like, he always knew he was going to be a household name. He's like, how am I going to become a household name if I don't get on RuPaul's Drag Race? And I said to him, I don't remember saying this to him, but he told me, he's like, you said something to me that was so smart. And I'm like, what was it? And he's like, you said to me, he's like, Bob, there are drag queens who make it and become world famous without RuPaul's Drag Race. He's like, name one. And I said, RuPaul. So the moral of that story is like, yeah, you can follow this path. And, would I want to be on Drag Race? Would I want to follow that path? Sure. I don't know that I would do, I don't know if I made it to every next episode I make it to, I would be shocked as shit. I'm like, really? You're sure? You didn't mean me, did you? You said, Sashay, should I go too? I'll just walk her to the van. And if you want me back, I would be shocked if I made it far on that show because the skill set. If they were like, listen, we are going to put up a gypsum wall on aluminum studs, 24 inches on center, I'd be like, I got this. Or like spreadsheets. Listen, there's someone watching this, I'm sure, who is addicted to spreadsheets. I am addicted to spreadsheets too. I see you, I feel you. It's a very real thing. But I'm very content that I am doing my thing. I've always kind of wanted to be someone who fits in and follows the crowd and is well-liked and popular and accepted. And that's never been my journey. I am always, despite myself, I am always the outsider, the outlier, the sort of the loner. I cannot help but just do everything my specific way. Maybe it's an ADHD thing. Maybe it's a bit of like the perfectionism that comes with ADHD. I'm like, it really should be done this way. You guys are not seeing this opportunity here. We really got to do. And I guess I'll announce it here quickly. This is my first announcement of it, but I thought I would have it done by today. I was going to do this in front of my green screen. I am turning my living room into a multimedia green screen studio. I'm a photographer with over 20 years experience doing headshots for actors and live theater photography. I used to be the photographer for Playbill and Broadway World. She's fancy. But I'm turning my home into a studio during this time because I'm like, listen, I have sketch comedy that I want to produce. I have so many sketches I want to make. And I'm like, I don't know how I can film at an airport with a cast. I guess I just will green screen everything. And then, I'm trying to create a lab here where all by my lonesome, I can create anything that my mind conceives of. And that's what I'm choosing to do with my drag. This is the last thing I'm going to say because I'm talking too much. But that's the thing is about drag. Do not be mistaken that drag is only about being a queen who performs in gay bars on a stage to a song by Ariana Grande. Not that there's anything wrong with that. That's probably my favorite type of drag to see. But drag is like, it's like on season 4 of Drag Race, where one of the challenges was like they're going to pretend that they're running to be the first drag president of the United States. There are so many different arenas you can put drag queens in. And for me, drag has given me a platform to speak out for animal rights, which shockingly I have not even talked about in this episode. Earlier, Mean Dave was talking about like, oh my God, like people are just like, wow, it's really hot. Next year it's going to be hotter. Next year. If any of us actually care about global warming and the fact that California is going to repeatedly burn down once every year, we have to face the fact that the thing causing that is animal agriculture. You cannot bring tens of billions of land animals per year into existence only to feed them and shoot them and chop them up once they hit 6 weeks old, over and over. They have Olympic swimming pool size lagoons, multiple, of liquid pig feces filled with antibiotics that they're fed, and there's no way to get rid of this, so they spray it with lawn sprinklers into the air, and the wind carries it away, but it's okay, it only carries it away to the houses of poor black and brown people. They wouldn't do that to white people. You have these whole communities. Everyone has cancer, or everyone has like these sort of sinus issues, lung issues. There is no responsible way to turn an animal into food. There is no humane way to kill someone who does not want to die. When people try to talk about, yeah, but what if it's organic and what if it's a backyard chicken and you raise it? I'm like, okay, well, what if you did that to my 12-year-old nephew? Would that be humane then? When I substitute someone I love in that situation, it's suddenly abundantly clear, like that wouldn't be okay. If they're not free to come and go as they please and live a life on their own terms as God intended for them, then that's just not okay. And it's interesting to me, not to weigh in on morality or value judgments, but it is very interesting how any way you slice it, you try to take the life of an animal for the purpose of creating food, it wreaks havoc on this planet. We have the Greenland ice sheet, you were saying, just melted past the point of all return. Sea levels are rising, cities are burning down. And it's like they say, if you toss a frog in a pot of boiling water, he's going to jump right back out. If you put him in a pot of water at room temperature and you slowly bring that to a boil, he will die. Because incrementally getting worse and worse and worse and worse, people are just going to die saying, God, someone really should do something. Someone really should do something. No one's ever going to jump out of the pot and be like, this is going to kill me. The way we are killing for no, listen, I've been vegan for 10 years. Name a thing you eat that you think you could not live without. I don't live without it. Everything you eat, there's a vegan version of it. And no, it doesn't taste as good as the original. It tastes better than the original because my food never took a shit or had a mom. Anyway, but so if I can do it, anyone can do it. I'm from Wisconsin. I'm born to a famous dairy celebrity. If I can do it, you have no excuses. And everyone always tries to say, no, I could never do it though because I'm Colombian. And in Colombia, I'm like, let me stop you right there. I'm going to just guess you're from a place where there's a certain people who have like customs and traditions that involve like food and animals, just like everyone else on the planet. No one is unusual in that regard. No one has any right to take the life of an animal. Anyway, being a drag queen has given me a platform to get this message out there. I can say things that out of drag, people will be like, I'm going to walk away from this crazy guy. But like, looking like, I mean, whatever this is, and people will be like, wow, really? I was talking to this drag queen. Yeah, and there are things I can say in drag I could never get away with out of drag. And so it's given me a platform to do cooking demos, to give speeches on social justice and animal rights. Yes, the two intersect. As I see it, social justice and animal rights, they're the same issue. Animal rights is a social justice issue. They're a part of our society, not willingly, and they don't have justice. But that's the thing. You don't have to ever set foot in a bar or sing or dance or step touch to be a drag queen. You can travel the world giving speeches. You can write a cookbook like Mistress Ginger. She's a great drag queen, cabaret performer, sings, wrote a cookbook. I mean, you name it, you can do it in drag.
I hope somebody clips that, and I hope they share that, because you're absolutely right. Like we said earlier, drag is an art form, and what you do with the art is up to you, and you're only limited by your imagination. If you want to look like a 20-something blonde drag queen in a sequin dress singing to Ariana Grande, then you're me. But you can do more than just do that. You can really create a difference in the world. You're going to have a show. Where can people follow you? What's the best way? Instagram for them to follow you to see your show that you're working on?
I love Instagram. Instagram is kind of where I feel I most interact with people. I'm at Honey LaBronx on all social media. You can. I have a podcast, Big Fat Vegan Radio, now in its 8th year, I think. Started in 2012. And Big Fat Vegan Radio, wherever podcasts are found. My cooking show is Vegan Drag Queen. I have some new episodes I'm going to be putting out in the coming weeks. It's just there are so, like when everything's a priority, nothing's a priority. Fun fact, remember this. In life, we do not act on what is important to us. We act on what is urgent. So like, before I even worry about those new cooking show episodes, I got to worry about my lease renewal. I got to worry about blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so I got the cooking show. VeganDragQueen.com is really where you can find everything about me. And let's see, I definitely welcome people to support my work. Listen, drag queens on the internet, I can't take your money. I can't take your cash, and I want to take your cash, even if it's not, you're not intending to give it to me. And listen, a bitch will take Bitcoin, a bitch will take stellar lumens, a bitch will take Orchid, Ethereum, she will take Cosmos, she'll take basic attention token, whatever. She'll take basic bitch token. Can we make a coin, basic bitch token? Yes, okay. But anyway, if anything I've said moves you, or if anything I've said is useful to you and you'd like to help me do what I do, you can go over to Patreon, and for as little as $2 a month or more, you can really help support the work that I do. I'm retooling my Patreon, so bear with me. Right now it's going to look like I'm not clear what the perks are. Neither am I. I'm reworking it, but I have some really cool stuff in the works. It's just with ADHD, what I think is going to take an hour. This is why I didn't go to bed last night. Putting up this ceiling track for the curtains, I thought like, oh, that'll just take 30 minutes to finish. It was like 5 hours. And putting up these shelves over the bed, I'm like, that'll just take an hour. It took like 7 hours. Because I did it perfectly. Anyway, so I have, there's a thing with ADHD we call time indifference. We experience time very differently than other people do. By the way, How to ADHD, very useful YouTube channel if you have ADHD or love or live someone with ADHD. But yeah, vegandragqueen.com, you can find everything. Interact with me on Instagram. Trigger warning, she is very political. She has a lot of attitude, a lot of opinions about the world. and how it is and how it could be and should be. So,
And
yeah.
people can find you on August 29th in DJ Pocket's show on
Yes.
Twitch,
Yes, yes,
Cyberdrag.
Say again?
DJ Pocket show Cyberdrag on Twitch.
Yes. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
He's one of the first DJs that I saw during this whole thing who was like regularly putting on shows. And that was just a boon for me to see someone else like, oh, we're going to hold this fort down if we have to do it alone. So props to DJ Pocket.
Yeah, we love DJ Pocket on my show. Honey LaBronx, I have rapid fire questions. Do you think we can we do them fast?
I'm catching that drift.
Okay. No, that's okay. There's no
One-word
drift.
answers.
I have like 14 questions, and I know, and I would be interested, but my poor producer's been sitting here and he's hot. So
I can imagine.
if you can, and you can always come back if you want. I just didn't want to make you come back. So if you want to do the rapid fire questions, we can, or we can skip them.
Let's do them rapid fire. This is a good exercise for me in brevity.
Okay, for me too, because I can talk just as long. Trust me. Ask anyone that knows me.
Actually, that's funny you say that because that reminds me of this one time. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Okay. Honey LaBronx, what is your favorite thing about the existence of brunch?
About what?
About brunch.
Brunch. Finding a place that has vegan pancakes. That's all we want.
A drag name that you didn't end up using.
Nina Levin.
Your favorite wig color.
Like pumpkin orange.
Do you name your wigs?
No, but I do love calling them her and she. And when I first saw people calling them her and she, I was like, that tickles me.
When you put on a bra, do you clasp it in front and spin it around, or do you clasp it in back like a superhuman freak?
The way God intended. I don't even clasp it. It never comes unclasped. I just put it on like I put it on like I put on my little like waistband thing that you have pockets for when you go running.
Mm-hmm.
I step into it and pull it up or whatever. I put it on like a t-shirt and then I spin it around to the back. Yeah.
Never heard that answer. Fascinating.
I love that question.
That's a great answer. How high is too high for high heels?
Oh, how high is too high for high heels? Once you're at the point where, honey, the audience can see that you are not enjoying this, you are not having fun, we're not having fun. Like when it's just like, look, listen, you don't have to prove anything. When you feel like I really can't control this, that's when you know your limit. But I would say, 4 inches with a 2-inch platform, giving the illusion of 6 inches. That's where I live.
Oh, that's my jam too. The 6-inch stripper stiletto.
A brash pump girl. Payless doesn't make those anymore.
What is your favorite show to perform in? Regular show.
I don't do regular shows. I mean, I tour with my show.
What's your favorite venue to perform in?
Pass. I got to think about that.
Sure. What is the funniest thing an audience member has ever said to you after a show?
Okay, not after a show, but during my show, I usually call out my Instagram handle, and I'm like, the first 3 people who follow me, you're gonna get a free something, blah blah blah. In Greenville, South Carolina, 75 people in the audience. I'm like, the first person is so and so, okay, and the second person is so and so. All right, and the third person is. I'm not saying that out loud. The third person, you can say your name. The audience is silent. I'm like, oh, no. Right now you're thinking, oh, she doesn't mean me. She probably means, no, bitch, you know who you are. You're nasty. Say your name. And out of the middle of the audience, you hear, it puts the lotion on its skin. And I'm like, yes, it puts the lotion on its skin. It wasn't exactly that. It was a certain combination of those words. That That was great.
Who is your favorite animal activist?
Oh no! The best thing someone said after a show was, "Hey, wait, where are you going? That's my car." that was fun. She was running so fast. Cute.
They do. Who's your favorite animal activist?
Colleen Patrick Boudreaux. I mean, I have so many others: Michael Heron, Miyoko Shinner, but Colleen Patrick Boudreaux. Find her on Instagram at Joyful Vegan. Even if you have no intention of ever becoming vegan, you are going to fall in love with her. You're going to fall in love with her tips, with her. She's such a wonderful woman, and you're going to love her.
At Joyful
Colleen
Vegan.
Patrick Boudreaux at Joyful Vegan.
Who is your favorite LGBTQ activist?
Bob the Drag Queen, because he's the one who first ever invited me into becoming an LGBTQ activist with him. And I'm the other drag queen in that picture of Bob and Cracker doing the rainbow flag battle of Iwo Jima in Times Square. And then also getting arrested for blocking traffic for marriage equality. That was me and Bob and Frosty Flake.
Is that Bob the Drag Queen, the winner of RuPaul's Drag Race, also your drag mom, Bob the Drag Queen?
Season 8, that Bob the Drag Queen, the one that won, and then came back for like Celebrity Drag Race, and came back for something else, and done work here with HBO and tours and Caroline's on Broadway, and was on Broadway with Nick Kroll and Oh Hello.
Heard of her. What is your favorite item on the gay agenda?
My favorite item on the gay agenda is Black Lives Matter.
Which do you think?
I love that we gave them our Pride Month. We're like, listen, I'm not kidding. I love that we're like, no, this is for them. It's time. We're done overlooking them.
I agree. Which do you think COVID-19 pandemic has affected more, the straight dating scene or the gay dating scene?
I wouldn't know.
You touched on this earlier, so I'm going to flip it. What is your favorite position
I did ask first. I got consent before I touched on it.
You did. What's your favorite position to imagine straight people having sex in?
Sitting at a movie theater, holding hands and eating popcorn.
What is your favorite sex position?
Oof. Wow. I don't know if I'm as comfortable giving intimate details of my sex life.
You can pass.
Only because there's certain people who I would love to tell that to, and then certain people I would never want them to know that I'm a sexual being. No, I have a better answer. Ask me that one more time.
Okay. What is your favorite sex position?
Berlin.
Berlin. Do you cook or bake?
Both. But I'm a baker at heart. Used to be a professional vegan baker. Shout out to the Cinnamon Snail in Brooklyn.
Oh, I like Brooklyn. If you're on the road and you're in Sacramento and someone's buying us shots at the bar, what are they buying us?
If someone's buying me a shot at the bar, what are they buying me?
Mm-hmm.
Sugar-free Red Bull. No ice, no nothing. No straw. Hey, no glass. Give me the can. I paid for the can. Where are you going with half my drink?
Seriously, it sits in there. Toilet paper. This is a very important question, honey. Toilet paper over or under?
Over.
Thank you.
Also, what toilet paper?
What toilet paper?
As soon as I saw the writing on the wall, a bitch bought a bidet.
Goodbye.
I ride the wave every day, and I don't feel alone anymore. And I will say, if you can find it, get the toilet paper with the lotion. It puts the lotion on its butthole. It either is marketed as having aloe and vitamin E, or it's marketed as having lotion. Listen, we're going to go there. We're going to talk shit for a second. You know how you have to get the toilet paper wet?
No.
You don't have to wet the toilet paper with the lotion. You will see what I mean. It is like liquid ball bearings.
Honey LaBronx, let me change your world really quick. Flushable adult wipes.
I'm going to change your whole world.
Okay.
Is that it?
Oh, yeah, no, I thought you were going to say something. Favorite drag queen?
Favorite what now?
Drag queen?
Bob the drag queen, yeah.
Season 8 winner, your drag mom, Bob the drag queen.
I do have other drag queens who were big influences on me that made me want to do drag, and I will quickly say that was Pussy Tourette, Brini Maxwell, and Coco Peru.
Oh. My favorite drag queen likes Coco Peru, so I like Coco Peru. Favorite drag king?
Oh, wow. Admittedly, I don't know the drag king community very well, but I'll take this opportunity to wait. No, I can't call her a drag king because I think she's more fluid than that. But she uses a male name. She is a cisgender woman. Shout out! Oh my God! And you need to follow her too. I don't even know how to say this, but in Iceland, you need to follow Unofficial Hans, Hans. Her name is Hannah. She's fucking beautiful. She's like the Kesha of Iceland. And I'm like, oh my God, I get to be friends with this woman. And then she turns into this, like, if Marilyn Manson and Kesha had a child and it got on stage and was just like, and she does like this spoken word. Look up her, I forget the words, but look up Unofficial Hans, Delicate, Quiet on YouTube. And you will feel something, especially the women out there, because it's for you. And for those of us who view women's rights as our fight inherently, it will also be such a like yes moment for you watching this video and hearing what she has to say.
HANS.
Yes.
Okay. Do you think I'm pretty?
You know what? You listen. No.
Okay. When all this is over, what, like COVID, what are you looking forward to doing the most?
And also, by the way, I adore you. And to be fair, I'm also not looking at whatever I think the audience sees. I'm seeing you profile. I see exactly this much of your face. So can you just turn and look to me for a second? Look over your left shoulder at me. Hi! Oh, you are pretty. You look like Amanda, who I went to middle school with, and she and the other girl would always fight over who got to walk home with me after school.
Oh, well, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Doing
the show from the phone does have a disadvantage
Yeah.
of using that beautiful up angle from the chin. When all this is over, COVID world, what are you looking forward to doing the most?
Hugging my family.
Good answer. Good answer. Honey LaBronx, that is the interview. Thank you so much for coming on.
Did we break a record of like longest interview ever?
For this show, we did.
Yeah, I want to say thank you so much to your producer, because originally I thought you told me this would be 90 minutes. And this whole time I've been like, I have so much more to say, so much more I want to say. And I thank you so much for giving me the space to say so much. I really, really enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun for me.
Well, I'm glad, and you're welcome to come back anytime you want. We can do it again. But thank you for giving us your time tonight. And I'll talk to you later, because we're both up until, wee hours of the morning.
Oh, listen, I'm up to the wee hours of the morning from yesterday. So this is me on an all night. This is me on just nothing and just no sleep for 2 days.
Well, don't take the bra off and get some sleep.
Bitch, what bra?
Mom
but
drag.
I love this about Zoom drag.
Oh, well, I mean, you, but I'm here. Ouch.
Okay.
Okay. I will talk to you later. I love you. Thank you so much for coming on.
I love you too. Thank you for having me.
Everyone should follow you and see you on August 29th on Cyber Drag Pride Night.
Yes. I'll be performing. I'll be doing some step touch.
Right on. All right. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Love you. Okay. Do we have time for David? Okay. We'll do that. We'll go to producer, actor, comic, David Shapiro. Hopefully, please make it quick, David. Hi, are you there?
Yeah,
David?
Thank you.
Yeah. So what are you going to talk about?
Yeah, so I actually was going to call you and Skip this week, and then I remembered that there's a problem with my last name this week. Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, okay. What about it?
Yeah. We
You're
don't
not
claim
related?
him. We don't like him. We don't want him at all. As a representative, for the Shapiros of, I guess, the world, we reject Ben Shapiro being part of the Shapiros.
Can you tell me about the other Shapiros in the world?
Yes. Well, let's see. Probably previously the most famous Shapiro was Robert Shapiro, O.J. Simpson's attorney, the lead attorney from O.J. Simpson's case. And then I'm hoping to get there one day to surpass Robert Shapiro. That's my a goal. But now I have to do it because I have to be a more well-known Shapiro. Like, I don't want my last name being associated with his views.
His very controversial views.
Yeah. I actually would like to propose my brother and I, we talk about this a lot. I'd like to propose a trade.
A trade?
There is a general manager in baseball named Mark Shapiro. Now, I've never liked the way he says his last name, ever. But he used to be the general manager for the Cleveland baseball team, currently called the Indians. I don't know what they're doing because right now that's something people are considering changing, and they've named it after a player who was Native American. So anyway, Mark Shapiro was GM of the Cleveland baseball team, and now he's the general manager of the Blue Jays, who normally play in Toronto but are currently playing in Buffalo because of the COVID pandemic. So Mark Shapiro, back to Mark Shapiro. My brother and I have always hated the way he says his last name, and we always proposed a trade. Mark Shapiro trades his pronunciation to Ben Shapiro so we can not have a Shapiro out there spewing crazy rhetoric.
So are you saying there's no other crazy Shapiros?
We're a peaceful, like, as a last name goes, we're very small. You don't know a lot of Shapiros. You know it's a last name. You've heard it before. It's out there. Most people automatically know it's Jewish because, obviously, some people erroneously think it's Italian, which I am also Italian, so that really throws people. A couple people in my life have asked me if it's Japanese, just because it ends with the O. It is not. It is actually Russian origin, most likely, maybe Estonian, when that was a country. Right. But there's not many of us, so I feel really comfortable saying, on behalf of all Shapiros, we excommunicate Ben from using the last name. He's got to go.
Well, I'm glad for once to know a Shapiro in my life that isn't Ben Shapiro.
Right. Well, that's everything I have for you right now, Suzette. Thank you for letting me come on and say that. All week I've been upset, and I've been thinking, God, I need to do better with my career so people associate my last name with something good instead of a man who goes on the internet and brags about never having seen a wet pussy.
Well, I doubt even you are dumb enough to do something like that.
All right. Suzette, that's all I got. So thank you for letting me come on your show again, and have a good week.
Oh, you too, David. Thank you.
Oh, hey, Suze.
What?
Congrats on having, an outdoor brunch.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Maybe
thank
I'll
you.
show up.
No, I'd rather you didn't come, actually.
Okay. Noted. Well, talk to you later.
Okay, bye. Okay, that is the show. As he mentioned, I have an outdoor brunch that we've been greenlit for. It'll be at Badlands Makeup and Mimosas Drag Brunch. It'll be really great. So go ahead and check out Instagram at Makeup and Mimosas Drag Brunch. Otherwise, that's the show. Thank you to Stab Comedy Theater. Thank you to Jesse, the producer. And I'm going to go to sleep right here. Good night.
The city's your playground. I watch you take a bite. At 5 a.m. roaming the streets, drunk all night. You think you're hot shit, and ooh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, yeah. Stumbling, but yeah, you're still looking hella fun. Keep doing what you do, and then we'll make you mine. Well, you're a hot mess, and I'm falling for you. And I'm like, hot damn, let me make you my boo. 'Cause you can shake it, shake it, shake it, yeah, you know.
Alrighty, thanks for joining us for the Suzette Veneti Show. Those of you that are still around, let me send you on over. Who's still going? Our friend Honcho. Let me send you on over to his stream. Thanks for sticking around. We will see you tomorrow morning.